We got Lib, we got me,
Yeah.
and we got a topic. So, and it's Monday. So, welcome. Okay, it's the idea of the PMC, professional managerial class, like the upper class.
Yeah.
So there's an upper working class. Your
Yes.
doctors, your lawyers, your bankers, your tech,
Yeah.
all that. But then there's like what would be the landed gentry, that their money is in land and wealth and passive income. And so the distinction is that if you're upper working class, you're still like the top 1% or whatever, but your income stops if you stop working. You have to continue to work and then there's another type of upper class which doesn't depend on work for their income, and it's more generational. So and there's the conflict is between those two classes. It's between the newly minted professional managerial class and the old, more aristocratic landed gentry type of wealth.
One of the things that at least is in my estimation is, I think that this sort of like idea of the working wealthy, I guess, I'll call them, because they're wealthy people, but like
my ex was one of those. That was my encounter with it, was through him mostly. I have friends, but
and particularly the working wealthy who like grew up poor. Like my dad, for instance, grew up dirt poor. He had 7 other siblings, so it was they weren't very well off. But like now he's like a big time CEO, makes like shitloads of money. But the kind of like wealthy person he is much less insufferable than, for instance, like I don't know, the kind of wealthy person who like their parents were wealthy and then they went to college and then graduated, worked at daddy's company, and then are a quote unquote high up at daddy's company, and they don't really do much, but they, have inherited a lot of wealth. Those kinds of wealthy people are usually much more insufferable in my experience.
The ones that started from a lower class?
No, the ones who started from a lower class tend to be less insufferable in my experience.
Oh, not in my experience. Well, really? And it's very limited, but like with the ex, he was same class. He was middle class. Like we would have all gone to the same public high school, whatever. And then you get the tech jobs and you shoot up in wealth. And whole psychology, like suddenly
he's a tech bro. Okay, that's a different.
Yeah, and so like the roots that we all shared, all of a sudden when he like ascended to this new class, this upper working class, then all of a sudden we were not the same people anymore. Like our common working class background no longer united us or was any kind of connection or platform that we could build a relationship on.
Well, now that I think
he had become a completely different person.
I think that is a I don't want to say a result of the tech industry, but I do think that kind of thing is very heavily influenced by our like current tech industry, how it is. Because look, there's a lot of things about the tech industry, but it's a lot of good things, but it's also full of assholes and scam artists. Especially here in the States.
So you've met him. Yeah. and what I've noticed being in Seattle is those are the ones that tend to rise to the top. So whatever this hierarchy, it seemed like a competence hierarchy, but whatever type of hierarchy it actually is, those are the types. Your sociopaths, your Machiavellis, your dark triads seem to be the one that rise to the top of it. Yeah. And that might be true of any hierarchy, but this tech one in particular, although they present a different image, like they're more progressive and humane, and this is the new kinder way of doing things, it's still the same old dominance hierarchies.
Actually, there was, I'd have to look and find, there was a study done, and they found that there was a really, amongst CEOs, there is a very high proportion of them that are narcissists. I don't think being a CEO makes you a narcissist. I just think that the CEO position that kind of power.
Yeah, that's what
attracts
I
a lot
learned.
of.
Like the skill set required to succeed at that level is the skill set that narcissists, sociopaths, etc., are going to naturally have. So
Yeah.
though it plays to their natural strengths, and that's why they're so successful at it. Oh, Dobez, Lib is a regular. He's almost our third co-host or whatever.
Almost.
Like we met him through PF Jung's
If young,
channel
yeah.
in the comment section, and he joined us afterwards, and he's been hanging out ever since. Yeah, he is a trans communist, sort of, kinda, and
Yeah.
a leftist, and we have great conversations. And he's a familiar face here, so if you haven't met him,
Hello.
enjoy the pleasure.
Yeah.
Hey, freak, da freak. So what do you think about the idea, like the anti-capitalism and all that stuff, like these PMC people, whatever, harness that energy and direct it against this other upper class, that the true Greek, like they're trying to displace the existing landed wealth class.
Oh yeah, I mean, like they're not gonna in a like a meaningful way if they're just trying to do it like via like pushing them out, like the idea of like, oh, if this like sort of sometimes in actually I don't know if these would be. No, I think they would be. Hang on, I'm gonna Google really fast petite bourgeois and see uh if that actually
And then, like, even in
describes.
Egypt and those, you had the scribes and the bureaucracy that actually controlled everything. So there always seems to, at some point in history, seems to be this class that if there's enough of them, they can rise up and form some kind of power block that
Yeah.
influences society.
I guess you could probably describe them as petite bourgeois. The dictionary definition has of characteristics of the lower middle class, but that's more of like a historical definition. I think if we're like looking at a modern iteration of what petite bourgeois would mean, I think that sort of like professional managerial class probably fits in, even though they're definitely wealthier and have a lot more power than historically what they were talking about when they're talking about petit bourgeois. Petit bourgeois, like in a historical context, is
Oh,
talking about like merchants and like early middle class stuff. When you had the sort of like the emergence of the middle class, the managerial class is kind of definitely upper end of the middle class, though they're definitely not like among the lower rungs of society. Tend to not be, at least.
do you remember the Bobos? The
The Bobos.
David Froome's concept of the Bobos. It was the like creative PMC class.
Oh, I do actually. Okay, yeah. I do actually remember seeing something about this.
Yeah, I'll put the link.
Yeah, I haven't read this article, but
I forgot what it says for. But that's what, to me, it's a pretty good description of the class we're talking about. And it's paywalled and I'm out of articles, so I can't read it. But I'm
really?
trying to remember what it stands for. Well, anyway.
Also, it's fine, Dolbez, if you're not a frequent listener. I'm not actually that frequent of a host. I'll like have like weeks where I just am so fucking busy. Like this past week. But yeah, no, I was reminded of this weekend because this weekend we went like shopping and stuff. And since we were out, on like Saturday, we were like, oh, let's like, walk around some of these malls. And we did. And we went, what is this? A place called the Container Store. They just sell containers.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I fucking hate that place. Like, I walked in and I was like, whoa, this is like so cool. Look at all these containers. This is awesome. And then I picked up a little wooden box and I looked on the bottom and the price tag said like $55. And I was like, put it back.
So is this a bougie thing?
Oh, it's super bougie. It's
okay.
Super bougie. Which like irritates the fuck out of me. Like I just ooh, like I
I
just
mean,
see
I
the
don't necessarily love bougie people either in general, but
oh, it's this isn't
I
about
think
bougie
they
people.
have the
Bougie
right to
people,
exist and have their money.
no,
I'm
yeah,
not looking to
yeah, no, no,
restrict
no,
them
no.
in any way.
I'm not saying anything about like bougie people. I'm talking about like places that cater to bougie people tend
Mhm.
to uh not is a it's middle class. Yeah, kind of. That's yeah. They are no longer a just a class of business owners and merchants between the peasantry and aristocracy. The I guess like the usage of the term bourgeoisie has kind of changed since the late Middle Ages a little bit, changed a little bit. Um, but yeah, yeah, no, like their containers aren't like particularly special. Like I could just go to Target, I could go to Walmart. Well, I guess I can't really go to Walmart. The nearest one's like 40 minutes away. But
Yeah. Well, they don't wanna, they're bougie. They don't wanna go to
yeah, no,
Walmart. They
it's like
want their
there's
own little
Targets.
container store for
They want the
$50
Container
$50
Store. They
box.
want the Target.
They're
Um,
paying for status. I worked at
yeah,
Pottery Barn for like a holiday season, and
mhm,
a lot of the bougie people came in and shop, and it is overpriced, marked up crap. If you could
mm,
see the cheapness of these
yeah,
and how
yeah,
the it it amazed me the crap that these bougie people were coming in and buying because it was the Pottery Barn
yeah,
brand or store.
yeah. Like I already like don't like buying. Well, I like buying plastic doodads, but I hate that I like it because I I don't want to like it. Um, but like there's so many better
You don't wanna
places.
like what?
Like buying like the cheap plastic like doodads and stuff. Because like every single one of those things is like made in like a fucking sweatshop in India or China.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we knew that
yeah,
that's why Walmart was I
yeah.
remember Walmart. I was around when
But at
Walmart
least, but like
became a thing, and that's what was so good about it was because it was all this cheap stuff
at
made
least when
overseas
I
that
go to Walmart, it's cheap. Like that's the thing. Like if I go to Walmart or I go to fucking what's there's some other place. It's like do you know what Temu is?
who?
Temu or Wish?
Spell it for me.
TEMU.
No.
It's like a place you can go online and order cheap plastic doodads from China that were made for 4 cents and then sold for $10. Um, like yeah, or Sheen, yeah, no, like those places are awful. But like, you know what the bonus for those things is? They're actually cheap. Like you're actually paying for a thing and like you're paying a reasonable price. Whereas like, you walk into fucking like the Container Store and they're like, "Oh yeah, like here's this tiny little box. $400, please."
I'm getting the idea that the Container Store is not about containers.
I mean,
It's about
it's about
status.
status. Yeah, no, it is. It's a yeah. I mean like I don't I don't think the idea of the Container Store is bad. I think the idea of a shop that specializes in selling people containers is actually like really awesome. I love that.
They're
Um
just catering to a certain market
yeah,
or the demographic.
yeah. Just the unfortunate thing is if you were to like, fill it up with cheap crap, the likelihood of you being able to make your money back on it goes down.
Well, Walmart doesn't have little cardboard boxes
They don't
for
they
people
well
who need them.
they're not like a specialized store. They're like they'll have,
But if
three or
you needed a
four.
cardboard box, you could go to Walmart and
Oh,
find
no,
one
no, no, the
for like
Container Store has much
$5
more than like
probably.
cardboard boxes. They have things from like, 12 different sizes of plastic bins. They have
Walmart has
shoe
like maybe
racks. They have
4 or 5 different sizes, so it's still
mm,
possible to
they
find the
used
same
to.
product at Walmart,
I
or
will
like to meet
say
the same need at least.
I will say Walmart in recent years has been a lot less good about having like Walmart will have what you need, but like oftentimes they'll just have the one option, one or maybe two, depending on what it is. If it's like a small
Oh,
object,
well,
usually they'll
I
have a
have to take your word
yeah,
for it because I
yeah,
haven't set foot in the Walmart for like ever.
yeah. Like when I lived in Memphis, like basically I went to Kroger for my groceries because I had a Kroger card, and then I went to Walmart for miscellaneous stuff because they were like right next to my house. Like I could walk to the Kroger.
Mm.
I could walk to the Walmart, but I'd have to cross a busy street, and don't like doing that in places that I guess aren't here.
I do get I have like when I'm out with friends and they're at Walmart, I do get a good deal on groceries. The Walmarts with
Yeah.
the supermarkets.
Oh yeah, no, those supermarket Walmarts. Ooh, those are nice. They're not as common, but ooh, you can get some great fucking deals. Yeah, you have to look for the they have to be the what's it called? They have a different name for them. It's like a different kind of store.
The
They used
super
to
Walmart.
I think they used to call them super Walmarts, but they don't call them super Walmarts anymore.
Oh,
They call them something else.
well,
I know,
I'm
no, I
definitely
know.
out of
Yeah,
the Walmart
yeah.
loop because I
hmm
have no idea.
It's just corpo shit. They just change names to change. Yes, I have returned.
Yes.
I don't know who No Bad Days is, but
You back. That's
hello.
Moose.
Oh, Moose. Sick. Oh, I should have recognized the giant fucking fish.
No bad days. Not a bad way to live. Are you still on the road or did you make it back to your place, Moose?
Moose.
We'll find out.
But
So, do you think that because that article I was talking about with the
mhm,
two different types of working class said
yeah,
that that's where the actual, like all this anti-capitalism, blah blah, that's where it's actually happening. It's one faction of the wealthy at war with another, with the capitalist faction of the wealthy.
I
And
don't
like,
think they're. I would hesitate to say they're like at war or in like a direct conflict right now. I don't. I'm not sure. I'm going to Ghost Town for the night.
no
Ooh,
way. Which one is it? Rhyolite, the one in Nevada? I love ghost towns. Are you
I
gonna
also
stay? Are you camping in the ghost town? Oh, fuck! I want to be there so bad. We used to do that shit when I lived in Vegas.
go like spend a night in a ghost town.
Yeah, or abandoned mines. There's
Oh yeah,
just all kind of cool things. Calico.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, Calico Basin. I've heard. We used to. I've hiked out there. I'm trying to think. Is that where the hot spring is? Calico Tanks. It might be the one I'm thinking of. Oh no, that's a different ghost town. But yeah, I know Calico.
I don't think I've
Well,
ever actually.
I'm excited for I am so happy that you're getting to do this and that I get to kind of get a little vicarious taste of it. That's
I don't
really
think I've
cool.
ever been to a ghost town. I've been to like empty buildings and stuff because like I don't know the eastern part of the United States is like fucking filled with just like abandoned buildings, um, but not as much abandoned towns.
They have one in Nevada called Rhyolite,
Yeah,
and it's this little tiny abandoned ghost town, but then like around it and next to it, these artists came and they like claimed it as this public art space and they started putting all of this weird public art out there. So they have these weird statues and like they have one, it's a giant Lego person and all around the ghost town. So the ghost town almost looks like it's part of this abstract surreal art exhibit.
it's fucking nuts. Um, what you put in the chat earlier though, the ruling class is split between the working wealthy and the landed wealthy. I think that's an oversimplification.
Well, that's what this article said. They were talking about the PMC, which is this new, like, you know, they go to the Ivy
Yeah.
Leagues, they graduate and they get these corporate jobs, and it forms this professional managerial
Mhm.
class.
Yeah.
And but in all, like, they're not this, their wealth is not the same as the like trust fund type of wealth
Yeah.
because they have to continue to work to maintain it. If they ever stop working,
Yeah.
then their income
Yeah. Just
stops.
stops. Yeah. That's but for that reason, I wouldn't I wouldn't say that they are part of the quote unquote ruling class. Their relationship
Well,
to
what's the difference
labor.
between managerial and ruling? Because I
Um,
don't think America has a ruling class personally. So I was only
yeah,
using
I
the
wouldn't,
phrasing that the
yeah,
commenter I was replying to was
yeah,
using.
yeah. No,
Ruling
that's
class
fair.
would not
I
have
don't,
been my phrase.
I don't like using the phrase ruling class either, especially to describe America. Um, uh, Honestly, I'm not sure what term would best describe, maybe like uber wealthy or something, even though it doesn't have to do with wealth.
But
It
they're
more has
both
to do with,
uber wealthy. That's the issue. They're
well,
both uber.
it more has to do with like, I know, but like I'm more talking about, it's like the relationship to the wealth, right? So like the middle class wealthy, right? Like if they stop working, they stop being middle class. Their wealth disappears because it's
Or upper
relying
class.
on
These
them,
are upper class
or
wealthy.
upper class, whatever. Um, Regardless, like they're wealthy, but if they stop working, their wealth disappears, and th- meaning that their relationship to labor is different from the people who, like, the, I guess, our version of the landed gentry, who don't have to work
Yeah.
and yet maintain their positions and wealth,
Yeah.
or at least their wealth. And
Yeah.
I think that's the distinction, but because
But I don't
that's,
think they rule us any more than the professional managerial class rules
yeah,
us, other than the extent
it,
that the
it,
managerial
yeah,
class helps make the policies for the
yeah.
corporations and stuff.
It has more
They
to do
don't.
with like
It's
the
not direct
disproportionate, yeah.
rulership.
It has more to do with like the amount of power and influence they have. Ten you
Yeah, but that's what do you do about that? Like
mm,
that's just always been part of
no, I no,
the
I
people with
agree. It's a
money and
complicated
power are
thing.
going to have more influence in a society. That's just
Yeah, I
seems
mean
like a
that's, well,
social fact.
well, it's a social fact when you uh uh connect power to wealth. Um which is why I think that it is better for systems to,
But
as
wealth
much as
is
possible.
power. Like, no, you don't even have to work to connect. It's not like somebody's making a connection. The connection is naturally there. What disturbs me more is connecting speech with wealth, like they did in Citizens United.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's Citizens United also is a component in connecting wealth with power, because um yeah, no, that's fair. That's
Because the power, like the wealthy have power over the politicians and whatever,
yeah,
the media, but
yeah.
the working class wealthy could have the same type of power. So I don't think it affects the amount of power influence they have.
Not the same
They
degree
both
though.
have enough wealth to influence.
um I'm not necessarily convinced of that. I guess we might be thinking of two, when we think of like the professional managerial class. I think we might be thinking of two different things, because I'm thinking of like, at max, like your average millionaire in America would be in this PMC group, right? Like,
Like if they made it through working,
yeah, yeah, if they made it through working.
it's
But
like
like,
it's a tech millionaire.
yeah, 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 like a tech millionaire, right? And they have their own specific issues, I think, but like, um, they're different from like someone like, I know I keep going back, but Elon Musk. Elon Musk is fundamentally different than a tech millionaire. Like,
Are they though? Like are they closer? Is Elon closer to them than they are to us, or are they closer to us than they are to Elon?
they are closer to. Mm,
Because my ex seemed way closer to Elon and that Silicon Valley crowd than he did to the ordinary person.
I think so. I think it heavily depends on the individual, because obviously, like, there's definitely millionaires who absolutely despise billionaires. Um, uh,
Out of envy, is it class envy?
I mean, some of it is. Some of it is, I think, like, genuine, right? Like, for
It's not
instance,
because they don't ever think they should have a billion.
I I think that is a possibility. There are definitely.
I don't believe millionaires are saying, I think a million is enough and we should stop there and not have billionaire. I don't think they're saying that at all. I think they're saying we're
Not
just
have.
getting started and these motherfuckers got there before I did.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably an overwhelming. I mean, I'm just saying that there are a lot of people out there, And am I being the more nuanced one here? Are you painting over with too
Maybe,
broad of a brush?
maybe.
I mean,
I love nuance. I'm all for nuance stuff.
no, I mean, I
If
do
you
agree
have
with
it,
you. I
bring it.
do think that like the incentives, like the just like things in the world definitely push people towards just being jealous, right? Because it's jealousy is a pretty
When you
common.
see people around you with a bunch of fun, cool stuff, and you don't have it,
Yeah,
you want it. You
yeah,
just naturally want it.
yeah. Um, uh, yeah, and I don't know. I think it kind of depends. There are definitely some people in the PMC who are definitely their interests are more closely aligned with the average working person. Um,
Well, this article I'm talking about, I wish I could remember where it
yeah,
was and post it, made the case that they're not. Their interests are opposed. That's the other thing.
yeah,
Not only are they in
well,
conflict with this landed wealth, they
yeah,
their interests are opposed to the people they manage,
yes,
the working class.
because they want to be the landed wealth. They don't want to be the PMC. They want to be the landed wealth and then have that power and wealth over other
Yeah,
people.
something like
Um,
that. So
yeah, that's
that
common.
also puts them in conflict with the working class. So they're kind of their own little interest group
Yeah. Well, I'm
with
I'm just talking
interest
about
in conflict with both other classes.
their interests. People don't have to always act within their interests. In fact, people oftentimes don't act within
Their
their
class
interests.
interest.
Uh, yes, their class interest. I wanted to make sure I was being that specific, but yes, I do think we're specifically talking about the class interests, um, which is
But
not
is
always
it a good
accurate.
assumption that the majority do? Like the majority of a class will act within their class interest?
Yes, yes, it is. It is broadly. I think that's reasonable. Obviously, like there are exceptions, but
Like
um,
wealthy people are not going to vote for policies that make them poorer.
not always. They will sometimes if there is a things like an overall benefit, like like there will
Like
be like
just
a
out of altruism or
no, 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 no,
humanitarian.
no, no, not altruism, but like this idea. Okay, so like let's say um you're a tech billionaire, right? Okay, so you want more people who are educated. So it actually kind of makes sense to encourage policies that make education in America better
Oh
for
yeah.
everyone, because then that increases the pool of people that you can do. Now, that doesn't mean they always do, because like there are there are other interests, other desires that are pulling in all these kinds of different ways. That's kind of how humans are. We have all these interests, all these desires, and they're pulling us in all these different directions.
Yeah.
Some diametrically opposed. Some are like, oh, hey, I could do this good thing, but then that wouldn't be fun. Actually, that's a great thing. Drinking alcohol. Drinking alcohol is bad for you, just like objectively speaking. If you're talking like you are
Well,
basically
in the right amount, like small amounts may not be like
well, the thing is,
a half a glass of red wine a day may not be.
it may not be damaging to you.
Like it could actually have been. They're saying that something like could actually have benefit. So I don't want to make a really dogmatic claim that alcohol is just
Okay, that's
universally
all
not
right.
bad for you.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Cigarettes. That's a better one. Okay, cigarettes. Um,
Okay.
like I don't think I've ever met a smoker who doesn't believe that smoking is bad. Not today anymore. Anymore, at least.
Oh,
Like,
I smoked when I was young, and I knew the
yeah,
minute I smoked it was
yeah,
bad, and I still kept doing it. Like I said,
yes,
I don't care. I enjoy
yeah,
it, and I want to do it.
yes.
So yeah, you're
And
right. Like yeah,
yeah,
it was never in
because
dispute that it's a bad thing.
mhm. Yeah, so like people can absolutely act against their own individual self-interest, much less the interest of their class as a whole. Um, uh, but like the point is that like just because something might be in someone's class interest doesn't mean they're going to do it, because there might be other interests or other desires that they have that will pull them in other directions, which
Yeah.
is why you get like you know um, uh, yeah, like tech billionaires oftentimes are centrist or right leaning, even though like uh, government spending in a lot of areas actually would be very beneficial for them. You know, like revamping education in America would be a huge boon for a lot of these tech companies, making it so that like basically everyone and their mother can get a degree. Improving infrastructure is actually wildly important for tech billionaires and a lot of their industries. And yet, you know, you have, I can just start pointing to examples of billionaires who oppose all of these things. And the reason and they oppose them for varying reasons. Like again, like even if that might be in their class interests to promote some of these things, they have other interests that is pulling them away from it. For some reason. I'm not gonna say like I know why Elon Musk it turned into a right wing schizoid. I don't think
I
I
don't think he's
can.
the right wing schizoid.
He likes a
That's
lot
your
of right wing schizoids.
characterization of him. Well, I mean, I'm not saying don't call him that or see him that way. I just don't see him that.
He likes a lot of right wing schizoids. He hangs out with them. He uses their
I
propaganda.
like a lot of right wing schizoids.
Uh, Like you like their politics, or you like them, because that's a whole
Uh,
different thing.
Whatever you meant when you said Elon likes right wing schizoids, because it probably applies.
What I meant is that he
It sounds like you don't
uses their
like Elon.
propaganda in public.
It
Yeah, he
sounds
uses.
like you have this
Yeah,
very negative. You have based on things you've seen on Twitter, propaganda. So I don't have the same impression of Elon, especially when you factor in the
well,
neurodivergence. I don't
when
think he's this evil mustache twirling cartoon villain. I think
no, I
he's
don't think
this
he's evil.
neurodivergent, um, like weirdo that's trying to do the
Yeah,
best he can.
no, I think he's
Like
pitiful.
I take him in good faith, and I think he's well intentioned. I don't think he's evil or has sinister motives towards the rest of us.
No, I don't think he's sinister. I don't think he's evil.
Okay.
I don't think he has sinister motives. I think he's like many billionaires, an egotistical prick. Um,
See,
uh,
that's just subject. That's just like calling somebody an asshole. It doesn't really tell me. That's just your subjective impression. It doesn't give me information. So
well,
saying
yeah,
he's an egotistical prick, like I have an ego, that's not telling me anything to. That's not going to get me to worry about anything.
yeah, but it like your ego doesn't drive you to do the same kinds of things that Elon Musk does. It seems to, because like
What is his ego driving him to do?
I mean, his ego drove him to fucking buy Twitter. Um,
So
like
you have an issue with like he even brought Twitter. That was enough. That alone is enough to like a strike against him for you.
that. Well, him buying not like I don't care that he bought Twitter. I don't care about Twitter.
Well, why'd
What
you just brought it up as an example. So if it's not important and you don't care, why did
because
you
it was a
choose it as
stupid
an
bad
example?
move. Because it was a stupid and bad move. Like he shouldn't have bought Twitter. That was a mistake.
Okay, well, that's your opinion, but he did, and he
Well,
can
I
do what
mean
he wants because he's a
that's
self-determining
okay.
adult, and he has the
Okay.
so all of that
Well,
is just opinion on what he should have done
okay.
or what
So
you would have done if you were him, but none
can I
of that is giving me
just so
information
just so
about
we're clear, do you think that Elon Musk buying Twitter was a had a positive impact for Elon Musk?
I don't know what impact it had for Elon. I'd have to sit down and talk to him and ask him some questions to find that out.
No, not him personally, but like broadly, right? Because like he spent what
Well, you said
40 billion.
you did you just ask it on him? Did you just say on him? That
Uh
had a negative impact on him? Was that your question? I keep rewriting the stream, but
oh for him, like as in like was this
oh,
if you were
I
in Elon
don't
Musk's
I don't
position?
know. Like for him and on him, I don't really know the diff. But did it impact him negatively? I don't know.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know the
I would
details.
I would
I don't even know how to answer that question
I
without
would
more information from him.
okay.
It had a negative impact on my own Twitter experience. My experience with
Do you believe?
became
Do you know
degraded
whether or not it had a
drastically.
positive or negative experience on Twitter? Is that
I,
up
I
in the
I
air?
I only I don't know analytics. I haven't looked at
Hmm.
numbers, but
Hmm.
my own subjective experience of Twitter of the shift
Sure.
to Elon is was negative. A lot of my friends
Okay.
left. The activity
I w-
dropped. My tweets don't get the same level of engagement, et cetera, et cetera.
okay. I would encourage you. Actually, I'll also look this up and see if I can send you a link after the stream. But there is a specific interview with Elon Musk, and then one with the current CEO. I think she's still the current CEO. Um, where like the interviews like go in like ask about the analytics and like, hey, look, this number was from before, this number is from now, and it's significantly worse. Why is that? And I, yeah, like I think it is.
And what do you want me to take from that? Like, what would you be showing me that
Oh,
to make what point?
Elon Musk buying Twitter had a tremendous negative impact on Twitter.
Okay, and are you using that to make some moral claim about Elon Musk's character?
No, just
He
to
took a business risk and it turned out a certain way. That doesn't make him this evil, whatever you were saying he was before with the right wing freakazoids,
well,
schizoids.
the thing is, this wasn't like a pre-planned like a business decision.
I have an echo. Um,
Is it
okay.
gone?
I don't know.
Oh,
Is
nope.
it gone?
I can still hear it.
You can hear it
Yeah.
when Lib talks.
Yeah,
Oh,
when I talk.
but is
Wait,
it coming from here?
yeah, when I talk, there is a echo from your mic.
Is it still there? Has
Uh,
it been there the whole time? Because I didn't change anything.
it was there like at the very beginning when I hopped on, but then it like immediately went away. So I don't know.
I hope the whole show has not been echoing. Okay, what were we talking about? Elon.
Yeah, Elon and how buying Twitter was a result of his ego, not a business decision.
Yeah, but like a lot of wealthy business people probably take business risk out of their ego. I don't
Yes,
see
they
anything
definitely do.
like abnormal or pathological in that at all.
Oh
It
no,
doesn't bother me
the
that
only
he
thing
did
you
that.
the
So
only
I'm
thing
trying to
unique
get to like the center of the Tootsie Pop of your criticism of Elon.
the thing that's unique about Elon Musk is that he is very public about like
So you
all of
just
it.
don't like his style or his personality or his the like did he take an action that you find evil or reprehensible? Twitter was a business risk.
I
I don't
mean,
think he had evil purposes for.
it's less. I do think again, like because I don't think I'm not like claiming Elon Musk is like evil or malicious. He
Well,
can be
it
at
started.
sometimes,
Let's get
but
back to the right wing schizo because that's how it
yeah,
started. And
yeah.
right wing schizo, doesn't sound like something anybody would want to be associated with or connected to. So when you tried to tie him
Mhm.
to right wing schizoid, and I started to try to find reasons why, I came out with he took a business risk by Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. But
Oh
none
well,
of that is
that
like.
was that part was a tangent off of
Well, let's
the
get
he's
back
an
to the
egotic.
right. In fact, I'm gonna go grab a refill, and then let's
Yeah,
get back to the
yeah.
right wing
Please do.
schizoid stuff because I want to like try to find his evil and
Yeah,
his sin. I'm a Satanist. I'm interested in this stuff.
I like finding his sin.
I'll be back.
Hello, stream. Is evil subjective? Yes. Evil is a subjective word. What percentage of people are truly capable of understanding what is evil or righteous from the perspective of what? What is the blue resonant eagle? I'm gonna Google this and see. A metaphor for the ebb and flow of life. What? Hey Jeff, do you know what the blue resonant eagle is?
Isn't Resident Evil a video game?
No, resonant eagle. It's in the chat.
Oh no, I don't.
I don't know.
I remember the ruptured duck, but I don't know the blue.
Like the top thing is like astrodreamadvisor.com.
I'm getting real estate companies.
Oh, okay. This movement is a metaphor for the ebb and flow of life. In meditation with manic experience and flowing quality is the beauty of the cosmic dance.
Oh, resonant ego. Okay.
Oh, okay. This is like some like new age shit, I think.
Well, okay.
Well,
We don't do all this new age shit here.
well, not so, people can believe in new age shit if they want, but I'm gonna call it new age shit. Sorry, not sorry. It's called like tone 7, resonant, mystical power. The blue eagle is your conscious self, who you are and who you are becoming.
The website looks like it's from
the 90s.
90s.
Yeah.
GeoCities.
which is another thing that made me call it new age shit. Like every website I've seen that has like new age stuff is all
See
like,
how we're prejudging? It could have
I mean,
actual valuable information and wisdom, and we're just writing it off based on its surface appearance.
Yes. However, this is based off of the fact that I have read plenty of stuff from new age stuff, and it is, in my experience, about the deepest it goes is like mediocre self-help.
I was in the new age. I was in the new age for several years in my 20s. And I got some positive things.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying people can't get positive things out of it. It's just, I mean, honestly, it's like astrology, right? Like,
yeah, it led me to astrology. I was studying to become one.
I will be incredibly dismissive of astrology, but like, you can believe it if you want. Like, it's not particularly harmful. It's a little wacky. It's not as wacky as some of the new age stuff, but it, you know. Like, oh God, what was the? There was one guy talked about Thoth. Oh God, I cannot remember what this movement was fucking called. And by movement, I mean it was a cult. It wasn't like a big like movement. It was like a couple dudes and like their whole like online movement.
What year would, like, what time period?
I don't. It was in the 2000s because he had a YouTube channel for a while. He had started it before the YouTube channel, and then did the YouTube channel, did the YouTube stuff for a bit, and then there was like some big controversy that made him fucking dip. And like all the people who were in the movement were like, yeah, no, he's no longer associated with us because like he's like a sex pest or something. I don't know, something relating to that, but. Like that stuff was really wacky. That was
Owen Williams or the bear cult guy.
No. It was I wish
There's a video on my channel I did with Traumatype and his friend Zenon, where they went over my birth chart, and the guy didn't know me at all. He had just met me that day, and he analyzed me so accurately, it was a little bit scary.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it was definitely uncanny,
really...
and you could watch that episode and like every detail about my psyche, things about my past. He was all pulling from this chart, from just looking at how this chart was arranged. So it's definitely an art form, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah, no, it is. It's basically like a very like spiritual version of cold reading.
Yeah, same with tarot. I used to read tarot cards too, and it was kind of the same. The cards were just a focus for the impressions that I was getting as they tell me their story and their background.
All right, what is this guy's name?
The Thoth cult.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I went back
up on my cult. I remember Heaven's Gate. I remember Waco, but I don't really. My life and cults don't really intersect a lot.
Yeah, fair. I discovered this because of God, I used to be a fan of Armored Skeptic. Hang on, is this what it? Oh my god, I think I found it. Hell yeah, spirit science. Oh my god. It's wacky shit. Oh god. Hang on, let me put that link to the channel. It's full of very interesting things. Talking about Atlantis, talking about how like Martians lived on Earth. Or they
Lord,
came to
don't bring that around here. That's just what they need. Spirit science. Let's see. Oh, it's like the little animated.
Yeah, he does like the little animated stuff. But
People.
yeah. Apparently the movement is no longer associated with him, but like his videos are still up. So yeah.
Oh, okay. What's his name? Sri Yukswar, or is that just a quote?
It's just a quote. Jordan something.
Oh, okay. Another Jordan.
Yeah.
I do like their little video, their little presentation.
Yeah, no, actually, I do actually really like the animations in the videos. They're actually like super cute and really cool.
This is an interesting concept. What eternal perspective? What is that? Because one of my whole argument, or one of the like pillars of all of my arguments, is that we are only capable of seeing things from a specifically human perspective. We, as far as I know, don't have or will ever have access to an eternal perspective, at least as a limited organism species here on a planet.
It's actually, I would argue it's like if we were to look at things from a like verifiably eternal perspective, like you just be a nihilist. That's what
I mean. Even eternity itself is a human conception. There's nobody outside of humans that even have a concept of what eternal is.
Yeah, but by what I mean is that like basically, if you're like looking at things from an eternal perspective, quote unquote, and you're not like a theist or any sort of specific kind of religion, then like you just be a nihilist who.
I am a nihilist.
A pure nihilist who like in that like
are you guys still talking about Elon?
No,
we've moved on.
Okay.
Cosmic nihilism.
Okay.
Because
we never did connect him back to those schizo Republicans, though. So we'll get to that. But I like this topic. Excites me, though. I want to keep going with it.
From like an eternal perspective, at least like from like a non-theist perspective, eternally, everything is meaningless. Like in the
meaning is a human. It's a human thing.
Yeah.
Like the animals don't have a concept of meaning. They just live out their existence.
Yeah. Well, other animals, we're animals who do, but other animals could possibly develop an understanding.
As far as we know, they don't have meaning. And anyway, even if they did, it wouldn't mean anything to us. So I'm talking like meaning to me is a human.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So like looking at what was the rest of this topic? Things that may appear evil on the surface may not actually be evil from an eternal. And this is kind of like you're kind of making an ends justify the means argument, which like, okay, my interest is piqued. I actually really like the ends justify the means arguments. I worry about them because not everyone can make them properly, and sometimes people come out of like.
I wasn't even where I was making one, so I don't know how I'm doing on it.
I mean, I think your perspective. I mean, you. Actually, wait, Jeff. Do we agree that the ends broadly do justify the means?
Well, it depends on what end and what means, but again, even that is a human. Like heuristic.
Yeah, no, and I'm asking about from a human heuristic. Not from the eternal.
I don't know that we can go beyond ever. Like everything we do is circumscribed by the fact that we're doing it as a human, and that is a limiting factor on all of it. But what is the what's the ends and means in this case you talk about?
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying broadly. Do you broadly agree with the phrase?
No, I just said it depends on the ends and the means. So I'd have to know. I can't do broadly in this instance.
But you don't think that it's an incorrect.
I can't be axiomatic and say the ends never justify the means. The ends always justify. I have to look at particular events and then evaluate.
Here's how I wanted to frame.
Did the ends justify the means?
Here's how I wanted to frame the question then. Is the ends justify the means ever a valid framework?
I don't want to rule out that there's some instance where it could be. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree.
Territory here. If we could tie it to something real world, that I could.
Well, I mean, then we're getting a little deeper into.
But you said we were talking about the universe and eternal perspective, and you said I'm making an ends justify the means argument. So I said in this particular case, what is the end?
No, not you. I was talking about the chatter. Was making that argument.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. That's like, that like leads you, and like ends justify the means arguments are fine. It's just, again, like we were saying, they sometimes are valid.
And since we don't read Hebrew, you're the chatter.
Yeah, sorry. I did actually have an opportunity to learn Hebrew in high school.
I did learn. I know my letters because when I was studying the New Age and I was doing tarot, Wicca, ceremonial magic, and they used gematria and tetragrammaton, and each of the tarot cards had a Hebrew letter assigned to it. So I did learn the letters, and I think there are 5 of them. They take 2 or 3 forms, so they don't always look the same. But I do know the letters. I just don't know how to make them into. When they're together in words, and Hebrew doesn't even use a lot of vowels or any, as far as I know. And so if they're clumped together just as letters, I don't know how to make the words out of them. I just see them as letters.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's called learning Hebrew, but I at least learned the alphabet part of it.
Could have learned Hebrew, but I decided to learn Greek instead.
Oh, that really is my dream, is to learn.
Oh my God. And the way we learned it was, oh God, it was so great. All right, so our teacher, he sat us down, he taught us the alphabet. So first we had to learn the alphabet, memorize it, yada yada yada. He gave us some basic grammar stuff, and then he gave us each a copy of the Book of Mark in Greek, and then we just went through translating it.
So that was what, like Koine Greek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not modern Greek.
And okay. No, I mean even before.
Yeah. You're not talking about Homer. I'm not talking about Homer.
Classical.
I'm talking about it was classical Greek. That's the.
So you read New Testament Greek?
No, I don't. I spent a year learning it.
You took it. Okay.
Yes, but that was in high school, a decade ago.
Okay, but you were exposed to it.
I was exposed to it. I was also exposed to Latin too, but that was.
Yeah.
We had to take Latin. We could. There was no Spanish. You just had to take Latin. Had to take 4 years of it too. Yeah. Well, I didn't have to take 4 years, but all my classmates did.
I wanted to learn. All my friends that were in private school got to learn it, and that's one reason I wanted to go to a private school, was because they offered Latin. And I don't know if they offered Greek, but they offered at least Latin, and the public schools didn't offer it at all.
Yeah, having gone through 3 years of Latin, it's. I think we should have a year of Latin. I think every
like in high school.
Yeah.
I in middle school I taught reading. Middle school, and one of our lessons we had to teach the Greek and Latin roots. So we spent probably a week or 2 on Greek and Latin roots, and then they would take those roots and use them to find meanings of common words today, like their own vocabulary words.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
They didn't teach Greek or Latin, but we did do a few weeks on the Greek roots of the English language.
Yeah, because Latin is it's a very useful tool to teach people how to learn languages, because English is god awful. English is a mess.
Yeah, it's too irregular.
Latin, though, if you learn like the rules of Latin, you can then sort of like semi-apply them to English, and they make a little bit of sense. It helps you learn the rules to English better. More so than that, though, learning Latin helps you learn other Romantic languages like French or Spanish, and specifically in America, I actually do think people, including me, I'm guilty of this as well, should learn Spanish. I think it's actually it's becoming more and more integral into into American culture broadly. And I think as a result, we should teach it more.
Yeah, or at least make it. Actually, Spanish was more or less available in the school. French and Spanish were reliably available in almost all the public schools.
I actually think the same thing about French, though it's not as French is like less relevant because like
well in Louisiana it is. That's the only reason it was Louisiana. If it was any other place, it may not have been.
Like up in like New England and stuff, you have like Quebec and stuff, but their French is from my understanding.
French we started French in Head Start in kindergarten, and I've had it for like my entire high school, 11 years of high school. I had 2 years of college, so I have had French since I was 4 or 5 years old, but I don't speak any of it because I don't have people to practice with.
Yeah. But Chuck, you were asking a question. Why should we teach Spanish?
I mean, why should it be mandatory? Yeah.
I don't think it should be mandatory. I just think it should be available. It should be offered.
Yeah, I think it's one of the. So like there are a number of like languages that I think ought to be available broadly, like with every school in America. And those languages are English, Spanish, and French. Every school child in America should at the very least have to, take English. But as far as their, whatever language they take in high school, Spanish or French, I think should always be on that list, because those are like, we don't have an official language, but if we had a second official language, it would be Spanish.
Well, I know when I was in high school, you were required to take a language class, but the class was up to the individual which one they wanted.
Well, but also it was up to like the availability, right? Because most schools would offer.
Yeah, but Spanish. It wasn't mandated. That's the point.
Yeah, it's not mandated that you learn Spanish. Well, it's mandated that you learn
for credit. Learn a language. We had the choice of Spanish, German, and I forget what the third one was. Maybe French was our three choices.
Which one did you pick?
I took Spanish.
Yeah, it's probably the most useful for the majority of Americans.
Well,
you get to watch those cool soap operas.
Dr. Pepper, medium.
Hey,
what was that? Yeah,
I said because then you get to watch all those fun soap operas.
Yeah.
Now when I got to Germany, I ended up taking a German class so I could at least interact with the local community.
Yeah.
And I spent 6 years over there.
Though, to my understanding, Germans fucking hate it when English speakers try and speak German. Apparently, English speakers. Apparently, English speakers are really bad at German.
Well,
like on the whole,
as I'd learned, just like in the United States, the Germans have a dialect for each region, a different dialect for the same words. It's just like going from the north, way up north, to deep in the south. There's a differences like that.
And so like, which is one of the things that I think Americans don't talk about enough is our regional dialects, because oh boy, do we have them. They are fucking intense too sometimes.
Thank you.
Because like, God, what was it? I was watching something with my girlfriend, and a guy came on, and he was like, It was supposed to be like he's some like up in Appalachians hick, like, and so he had a really, really thick accent, and he was speaking really fast. And we have subtitles on. We're all 88. We're all autistic. We like subtitles. And my girlfriend was like, "Oh wow, I'm glad we have those subtitles because I wouldn't have been able to understand him if I didn't have those." And I'm like, "Well, why?" He was like, he had an accent, but like I could understand him, and it was just weird to me that like just someone living in America couldn't understand a dialect from the other side of America. It was
no, people can't understand my dialect. No, we run into that all the time. People up here in Seattle have had difficulty understanding me.
Yeah. Oh God, I get that all the time too. It's
one of my favorite words are from the St. Louis area. You don't wash your clothes. You don't wash your car. You wash. Yep.
Wash, yeah.
Wash.
Yeah.
Yep, you wash.
Oh yeah, sign language. I know my alphabet. My friend taught it to me so we rode the bus a lot, and so we could talk to each other on the bus, talk about the bus while we were riding it without them.
ABCs aren't that hard, Jeff.
It's the sign language version.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay. American.
Yeah, you thought I was bragging because I learned my ABCs?
Yeah, I'm just razzing.
But I may not have learned them because it's not coming back. A, B, C. Oh fuck!
That's what. Yeah. That's one of the roadside sobriety tests. Is the alphabet.
Oh yeah.
God,
I do know my alphabet.
God, I hate that we have to have roadside sobriety shit.
Why?
Did you just
No. I think it's fucked up that we have an issue with drunk driving, and so as a result, we have to have these.
What about those little like breath mechanisms that lock your car if your breath doesn't? Oh yeah, Steve, good, because I have something to tell you or ask you.
Those are
cool. Hey, Lanza.
Acceptable.
They are getting ready to lower. They're talking about lowering the BAC level from 0.08 to 0.05 nationally.
So that's going to let people
drink less,
a little more drunk. Oh, they have to drink less.
Yeah, it's gonna
So it's cracking down.
Okay. Which is like I hate that we have to do that. Like we have to do that to fix our fucking drunk driving. And it's not even fixing our drunk driving problem, but
no, it's not fixing it.
Sounds like they're making enough.
I mean, I've driven. Well, when you say drunk driving, I've been at bars and had a few drinks and then driven home, and I wasn't completely 100% sober when I did it. And you rationalize it at the time, especially when you drink it. It's easier to rationalize doing it. So you don't feel like you're doing anything really bad or committing some major crime by just driving.
Until you hit somebody.
If you're just a little bit buzzed, right? Until you hit somebody.
Yeah, until you hit somebody. Yeah, one of the big things that I think would help that would be more and better public transit in more places.
I disagree.
Places where that's feasible, but
Chuck, I'm not saying like I know like you live in Middle Tennessee.
No. What I'm saying is most of the people that I used to hang around with, even when I lived in the big metro of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Once they got to drinking, they didn't want to be around anybody. They wanted to be able to do whatever they wanted. And the last thing they wanted to do was even think about calling a cab or public transportation. Because, you get in that state of mind when you're drinking that you're invincible type of
but
thinking.
like the point would be like in St. Louis, I don't know about St. Louis transit system, but given that it's a city in America, it's probably not great. Just statistically. And so like the thing is, what you do is you incentivize people to take public transit instead of driving. So if you're going to a bar, you would take the bus to get there, meaning you would have to take the bus to get home. It would just encourage people to use the public transit more often, which is good because public transit is, broadly speaking, significantly better than cars. more efficient,
et cetera, et cetera.
By efficiency.
Okay. No,
just by efficiency.
Because that's not the only factor people think.
No. It's not the only. Well,
I'm detecting that moral tone that I so often detect in your state. Like people should take transportation.
No. I'm saying
these awful carbon guzzling cars.
No. What I'm saying is, cities should be investing in their public transportation to incentivize people to use that rather than cars.
To incentivize, not to just provide the option for those that want it, but to actively incentivize them.
Providing cars. Providing the option in a efficient and streamlined manner does incentivize it.
Okay, so you don't have to do anything extra to incentivize other than just provide the service in an efficient way. Okay.
Yes. That is all I'm saying.
A lot of cities are.
Well, I know St. Louis.
Quite a good job on it. Hey, Steve.
No, Seattle actually. Yeah. What's up? Seattle's doing a great job. The light rail is cool as fuck. The buses.
Although all my friends that go to Europe come back and complain how much the public transportation in the U.S. sucks.
Well, that's because we're behind on public transportation.
They talk about it like it's third world transportation here in Seattle.
I mean, okay. I don't know about Seattle. I do know that like in Memphis, the public transit system almost may well has not have existed for most people. Buses ran late all the time. There were very few buses. They didn't actually cover that many routes through Memphis. Like
I'll tell you this, man. As far as public transportation, in my mind, I have way more fun if someone I know goes with me. And that's to say that
I agree.
That's to say that you can have a third world subway system, but a first world mentality. But when I look around, seriously, I see, whatever they call first world here, and then I see third world mentality on that same train. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to step in someone's like spit. I could just call Uber. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that more has to do with like, okay,
help someone else out other than. But I'm curious.
No, I see what you're saying, but that's actually part of my issue. I don't like that public transit systems in America, broadly speaking, are dirty. They're hard to.
They didn't start. Seattle's did not start out that way. So some of that is just enforcement.
Well, Seattle's isn't bad. I think Seattle is one of the, in my experience, few exceptions. Like even in like there was a college town in Mississippi that I was visiting a friend in, and we would just take the bus around. And even in that area, and they had a really robust bus system for the South, and it was dirty. It was grody. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's the dirty side. It's the South. If Seattle can't keep theirs nice, how do you expect Mississippi to do it?
Yeah, and it depends on situation and mentality, man. Like if I was like say a slave in the South and I was on the Underground Railroad, that's like a fifth world railroad, and I'd be pretty damn happy to be on it.
Well, now, if you want to get me talking on railroads, I don't want it. I
just was saying a joke. I actually was interested in what Jeff was going to say about like transportation. From what Lib was saying to me, it sounded like he was kind of talking on like a purely like economics type of way of thinking about it or something. Because like I don't have fun on RTAs. I have fun in like,
I don't expect to have fun on. I can have fun anywhere. I can entertain myself.
Let's invent.
I don't necessarily expect to have fun on the subway. I just want it to get me where I'm going efficiently without a lot of hassle.
But for what it's worth, my argument
I got rid of my car to live in Seattle, and I love not having a car. I love being able to walk where I need to go and hop on a light rail or a bus if I needed to. Like that system, but it worked because it was centralized geographically in one small area. Yeah. So
yeah, if you're like me and you like going camping and fishing, you're fucked.
Exactly. That's what I am. And now that I'm not in Seattle, I'm in a smaller city. I have to walk everywhere, and I'm a little more handicapped without a car.
Yeah.
So there is an argument against public transportation, though.
What is that?
So okay. This is going to come out of left field. I apologize. So the premise
It's gonna
is
be like,
more
yo,
like-
we should just invent magic carpets.
More like
I
right
can
wing
show you
feel.
the world.
I'm just kidding.
no. So the argument goes is like, so public transportation does a couple of things. One is it reduces carbon emissions. Two, it cleans up the roads, less traffic, less rush hour traffic, stuff like that. It also
Less maintenance on the roads.
Less maintenance on the
less
roads.
vehicles on the
Kind
roads.
of.
But guys,
buses are
I
fucking
hear
heavy.
that. I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. It makes
But
total
Wait, he didn't
sense.
finish his or he didn't finish
Yeah.
his.
I haven't gotten to my point yet. So the
I
interesting
know, but
thing
I'm just saying that in that paradigm, I see what you're saying.
Lanza, let him get to his point.
Okay.
All right.
So the interesting thing is that I actually literally I'm not fucking kidding you. I heard this argument the other day, is that public transportation it actually harms certain communities because it limits their mobility outside of cities. So if you live somewhere, but you have to take a 2-hour bus to get to work, it actually limits your employability versus if you had your own vehicle, you could drive, because a 2-hour bus drive is generally like a half an hour on the road trip if you're actually driving your own car.
Yeah.
So places that like London that heavily tax personal transportation, what they're finding is they're finding an influx of migration, and not just of other countries, but people within the country, actual British people migrating to larger cities, causing more congestion, more consumption, increasing and flaring up rental prices, tons of other shit, just because they purely just do not want to allow private transportation within the cities. So there's actually a really good argument there.
No,
it's interesting.
I don't think that disincentivizing personal vehicles in America is actually the right route for us to take. I do think if we just leave private vehicles as they are, well, maybe not as they are. I do take an issue with modern truck design.
Improve. Just
improve.
Say improve.
Improve. Okay, we can improve our car regulations and laws so that we don't have these problems that we have now. While improving our transit systems, so that within major cities where you don't really need, if you lived in Seattle, you don't need a car usually to get to the store.
If you're a single person with no kids, because if you have to take your kids to daycare or a babysitter,
and
it's like
also
just
most
your
public
problems.
transportation is subsidized by the government.
Well,
that it is too, yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. So is the post office, but
yeah, that's what Lib was saying. He was saying the revenue kind of goes towards that, which is a good thing in some ways. And
I mean, also though,
if I'm incorrect, I'm incorrect. I apologize.
No. You're correct. But my point is more that the transit system doesn't need to generate revenue, because that's not the purpose of a transit system. In the same way that the post office shouldn't need to generate a revenue, because the purpose of it is it's a public service. It's it is going to cost money. No shit.
I gotta disagree with you on that.
I think they should do zip lines.
So the post office is the only government institution actually written out in I believe it was I can't remember which one of the documents it was written in, but it's actually required by state or by federal law to exist.
Yes,
and it has to pay for itself, if that makes sense. So it has to charge.
Well,
okay.
At this point,
I don't think it should. It shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to. It's a public service. That's the in the same way that
I was gonna say.
No, sorry. No, you go ahead, Lanza.
I was just gonna say it sounds like it's gonna pay for itself. What do you mean? If we take it away, we're basically fucked. So it is paying for itself no matter what happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's paying for itself in a abstract sense, right? It's it's providing a service to people that people use, and then
I think it's one of the best services on the planet.
Public transit?
I thought we were talking about the post office.
Oh no, yeah, the post office is fucking based. I love the post office. The post office is the one of the few American institutions that I will uncritically defend until death. Not uncritically.
I honestly wish they asked for more support. I don't know. I just feel like the way that they ask for support is not enticing or something.
Yeah, well, it's not sexy, right? How do you go up to someone and be like, I want more funding for the post office. Like, that's not as sexy as saying like, oh, we're gonna build these.
I get that we're joking, but what's his name? Steve had a point. I felt like he was saying that you were talking about. It had to do with revenue, and then he said something about. Never mind.
Oh yeah, that public transit systems are very expensive. They're wildly expensive. However, we're America. We can. I think we can deal with it. We can find the money from somewhere.
Because your revenue for it's going to come from the billionaires.
Well, no, I see. I would argue. I think we need to do shifting around in our budgets. Our national budget is
for what?
Weirdly prioritized. Oh, I mean, probably from
from military to
military budget's like $700 billion.
Didn't it go up recently?
I'm sure it did. I haven't checked in like 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. Now, also, we should be shifting our military to doing like, oh god, what was there was someone who had a phrase for it that I really liked. Not the world's police, but the world's EMT. I liked that. I like it.
What EMT?
EMT,
What rave festival woman had that on her back?
It wasn't a woman.
Was she shuffling when you read it?
A fucking big ass bearded Southern Georgian dude named Bo of the Fifth Column.
Oh, okay, I know who that is.
I can't find anything possibly wrong with the gentleman as you described him.
No, I mean honestly.
So America was actually not intended to be a policing state, not like it is like a global policing state. It was actually, it wasn't until World War II where we were like actively participating in shit.
Yeah.
Pre that, we tried to stay out of shit as much as humanly possible. Like even World War II didn't start until we ourselves were attacked for us. Right. World War II had been going on for a couple of years at that point, and we were still like, not our business.
Yeah.
May I ask what time of day or night did you meet this person? If it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna lose 5% credibility in your story with me. I'm just being honest.
Wait, are you talking about the Bo? He's a YouTuber.
We could literally buzz past it. It was a stupid joke. I'm basically practicing comedy. But I'm trying to be respectful too.
No, you're fine. I appreciate it.
I like how this is just like quietly, respectfully trolling the conversation. I fucking love it.
Oh, have you met Lanza?
No, I haven't. I want to hear what he was going to say to me earlier, though, if he remembers.
You want to hear what was it?
I don't know. We were talking about public transportation, and you wanted to say something, and then Jeff.
I think Lib was talking about public transportation, and I know we've mentioned the word revenue a couple times.
Yeah.
I know at one of those times on a word revenue, kind of were like, and then also think about it this way. And then Lib started saying something, and then we joked about.
Oh, it was Bo of the Fifth Column. That was what we...
Yes, that's what we got to. Yeah.
Because I was talking about the world.
I don't think the point. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think I like that idea. Idea that we would be like basically going around and disaster relief.
Don't we do that?
We do
Can
some.
I make a claim?
I think we should do more. Yes.
So,
I never make claims, man. And this is actually weird to say that, but I never make claims. I just try to. I mean, maybe I can't say that. I probably just lie there, to be honest. I probably do make claims, but
you try not to make claims.
I try not to. But like, let me ask you in the way of a question then.
Mm-hmm.
Is freedom very closely associated to personal freedom? I think if you start associating it with public transport, you're just in a system that is less than personal freedom. I'm not sitting here. I'm not going to fight it to the death. I'm not going to go burn a cross in someone's front yard. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to understand because as someone who spent the last 15 years using public transportation, I felt very free doing like free and empowered by it.
Okay.
I think it's probably more correct to say that disincentivizing private cars is the thing that without adequate replacements is the thing that reduces the freedom. Because like with Steve's example of London, right? Like when they're making like taxes on personal cars so high, they're forcing people to come into the cities where they may or may not want to be, just so that they can have,
which can also lead to gentrification.
You're saying influence people, because forcing people implies people are going to
he said
guns.
Yeah. You latched on to the same thing I did. This force thing.
Yeah, and that's okay. I think it was an honest mistake. I think he was trying to say like, yo, people are being coerced. Essentially, is what he was saying. Into seeing the value into going into a city like that.
Currently in America, people are incentivized to use, broadly speaking, cars rather than public transportation. In some cases, that's like a normal, like valid thing, right? Like you live in a town of 20 people. The nearest city is like 2 hours away.
Not even a town of 20 people. You can, dude, my buddy, like, I don't know why he likes it, but he sounds like just like Jeff. Just like Jeff just said, I take public transportation a lot, and like I thought it was totally, like, I had fun, like it was totally fine, and my friend thinks that too. So I just don't. I'd rather drive myself. But if you're saying that economic reasons, it has nothing to do with the fact that I drive myself.
No car insurance, no tags, no registration, nothing. You don't have any of the responsibility that comes with a car. And for the amount that I use a car, it makes way more sense to just use public transportation.
Yo, somebody
I don't do a lot of driving in the first place.
Get this man a deal. I want to get you a sponsorship. You actually, like, the way you just said that, honestly, like, I don't doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's half of the revenue of an ad is just don't doubt it. You don't have to believe it. Just don't doubt it. You know what I mean? I can see Jeff on a commercial being like, "Hey, this this works for me." Like, look, he's got the hat on and everything. Who is it?
Yeah.
Because I'm so relatable and just like everyone else, it will work for you too.
Can't read that.
I'm happy paying taxes to accommodate public transportation, even though I don't use it, because I think it's a net benefit.
Yeah,
it sure is nice to be there if I broke down and I needed to get home and I ride a bus. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's phenomenal. But for the most part, I enjoy the freedom of being able to get in my car and just fucking leave and go somewhere. I mean, I ride my motorcycle. I'll just ride my motorcycle for no fucking reason.
Dude, come on, man. Do you guys know anybody who owns boats and stuff?
I know people that own boats. Yeah,
man. Like, what are we talking about cars for? Let's talk about boats. Let's talk about planes, man. I don't know anybody who owns planes, but I'd sure as hell like to. Let's manifest that into our reality.
Well, we're trying to grow. Who knows?
I mean, if you think about it, like the first time, like when you're 16,
talking about travel, I'm trying to go to space, man.
when you turn 16 or whatever the driving age is in your country or your state, 13. Like a car is your first introduction to like what you would perceive as freedom. Like, I can literally go anywhere and do anything. Yeah. And buses don't have that same je ne sais quoi as like getting in the car and starting it and imbibing in car culture, which is really fascinating.
It really doesn't come down to personal whatever. Like, that's cool. We could talk about that. Absolutely. Like, respectfully. But like, dude, honestly, like, if you want to talk about it, let's cut it down to necessity. I'm not trying to be overly Karen-y, but like, like if you guys want to do that, that's cool. But like, dude, the bottom line is people need it. Okay. And we don't focus enough on what people really need, and we focus on what people kind of like. And you and us and all of us on here aren't making those decisions. And it's very, compartmentalized on the orders that have to go down on who's allowed to work on those places, who takes care of those places, who built those places. There's a lot of stuff that goes in, man.
What are you talking about? I'm lost.
Public transportation being needed more than like a perspective on what you enjoy.
Car
because it's needed, right? Like what Steve just said. If it went away, that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good.
If you think of all the significant attachments you can make to driving a car, let's say that you drive a car. One is you're paying taxes on that car yearly, which goes into road repairs, road upkeep, maintenance. You're also paying a shop to fix your car, which is employing more people. You're actually creating more employable opportunities if you drive a car versus driving a bus.
That's true.
And I'm all about creating fucking jobs.
Well, I mean,
man.
you're employing bus drivers.
Yeah, you're employing some mechanics, but not on the scale.
Some bureaucrats
that promotes mass employment. Like in the area that I live,
Yeah.
you can drive down Main Street because our Main Street's actually pretty long. It stretches like almost 6 cities.
What
and 2
about mass
counties.
employment? You said there's a difference we're going to make in mass employment. That was interesting.
Yeah, so if you drive along our Main Street that I live almost right next to, it's like 2 counties long, and I mean it would take you probably 45 minutes to an hour to drive the entire length of it. Along that length, you can count how many shops are on that road, just that road alone.
So you're saying small business?
Small business shops, yeah.
Dude,
you could find, I would probably say, if I was just to take a quick counter, you could probably count upwards of 30 shops along that road, just in the span of 2 counties. So that's not including all the other shops that are off that road. That's a lot of employment opportunities, especially for people with no college education, no high school education. You can be a mechanic and make $100,000 a year. Damn. Fairly easy. Those are great opportunities for people.
Which is one of the reasons why, again, like while I don't like that America is so car centric, like our options are limited because, I mean, we are car centric. There are like issues with the car centricness, right? Like LA. Sure. Okay, LA is a car centric city and it's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
However,
it's so big.
Well, it's because it's car centric. It's a city that it's car centric. So it's like,
yeah, but what that bothers you for so? It's been that way for decades. Maybe since the beginning of cars. It bothers me things to sit and worry about.
It bothers me about the efficiency because if, like, for instance, LA, right? LA has a comparable population to other large cities, and yet their streets are dominated by cars. Which,
what do you want to just go redesign the whole city? Because
no, well, I mean,
that's what streets are for cars.
I know, like I'm imagining you looking at LA and like getting this angry, like these people are not being efficient. They have cars.
I mean,
that seems to be more problematic than
hang
LA
on.
itself. Is the reaction you're having to the idea of LA?
LA isn't just like vaguely, abstractly inefficient. Like traffic jams around LA.
Nobody's obligated to meet your standard of efficiency. Like LA's been doing its thing long before you came along to decide that they're not being appropriately efficient.
What do you mean efficient?
And long before I came along, people were saying, "Wow, LA, you should really invest."
Yeah, I lived in LA. For the smog was horrible. I lived in it. Like, but that's their thing. That's sure. What emerged down there.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that like there are better ways to do things that the city could do things.
You could probably go to any city on earth and critique it and say, "Hey guys, there's better ways to do what you're doing."
In America,
I take each city as it is because I know that it's an emergent.
I love
phenomenon.
I love everybody. I want to say something to this one person. I never do this, man. Difficult Denizen says, "What is the wealthiest county in America?" And I didn't see Lib had answered, but I thought it might have been whatever that county is, possibly in Mar-a-Lago in Florida. I thought that place was the.
No, it's it.
What the hell is it doing in Virginia? What is in Virginia? They got like what? What do they have?
It's outside of DC. It's just a lot of.
They got rocks. What do they got?
Politicians. They got politicians.
Well,
I heard they got like signs.
Actually,
I heard they got like.
It's politicians.
I heard they got
fucking rocks.
Tolls on. I heard they got tolls going through mountains. That's what I heard. I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
No hate. I'm totally joking. Everybody hopefully knows that.
I fucking love it.
If you try to pin me down to hate, I'll love you to death.
Demographics. It's got in 2020 they have 0.05% Pacific Islanders. I think that's what's causing that county to be the wealthiest county. I think that's what's special about it.
What county?
Pacific Islanders drag the economy down.
Loudoun County. It's the wealthiest county in America. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what Denizen's getting at.
I have a
where
friend
Congress
that lives in
lives.
Loudoun.
I'm actually not convinced that that's where Congress lives, because
That's where the elite are. Look,
there are definitely some wealthy Congress people, don't get me wrong, but like I don't
they're
think
they're upper working class.
Yeah, but I don't think if you were to combine like all of the wealth of all the Congress people, I don't think that it would reach like billions of dollars.
The wealth? Yeah, are you kidding me? You said the Congress people? You mean currently? Like, okay, you're saying like on paper, but dude, they'll go do a speech for $10,000, $50,000. They'll do it 3 times a month.
They're wealthy, but they're not like uber wealthy. Like
but yes, because they have like Chat GPT.
But even going and doing a speech is working. They have to constantly hustle to keep their wealth up.
It's the network, bro. You and me got to hustle to keep our wealth up, bro.
Yeah,
what are you talking
there's
about?
this other class of wealth.
I'm not a Congress
wealth, and it's wealth from owning property. It's wealth from owning corporations. It's passive income. It's trust funds. There's a whole different type of wealth that doesn't have to work to keep their wealth.
And also, I'm not saying that a congressperson going and giving a speech is on the same level as working like a 8-hour shift at McDonald's.
But okay, so then the definition isn't money, then it's work. Is the definition money, output, income, or is it
wealthy?
Description of what's happening?
Earlier in the stream, we were making the distinction between the wealthy that have to work to continue to be wealthy and the wealthy that are wealthy without having to work.
That makes a lot of sense now. Thank you.
Yeah. And Congress people are, broadly speaking, usually the first class of people.
Yeah, they have to continue to generate.
I think it's the Senate that has a weird number of people who are like independently wealthy, like who were wealthy before that. But that's, I think that's a Senate thing. Like that's just.
What do you mean?
And that's not to say that individual state couldn't elect very wealthy people to the office, but in general, if they're being elected from the middle or middle upper class or whatever, they're.
So whose monetary value is in question?
We were talking about the Loudoun County, which is the wealthiest county in America, and Denizen is saying that Congress lives there. Which I'm actually not even convinced of. I'm trying to see if there's like information like on like Wikipedia. Like
most Congress people just rent a space somewhere.
Yeah, because they need to be in DC for like doing their jobs.
And this is income county, so I don't know if wealth and income are exactly the same thing. But
wealth and income are
household income.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, then it's probably it's definitely not Congress people. Then holy fuck,
it's per capita. Per capita would be.
Yeah, but they're talking about income, not like broader wealth.
Okay, sorry.
So this is what the people make. This is their what they take home. Average is 147,000.
I mean, I'd be more interested. Actually,
average.
What about the median actually?
For
that
country.
It's
median
a county.
Will probably be a little bit higher.
Yeah, say median. I find median to be a better.
Oh, I see. Are you guys talking about real estate?
No, we're talking about wealth.
Okay.
Can't find that, but whatever.
Is wealth a bad thing?
No,
I think it depends on what you do with it. There are some people that manage to pull off being wealthy very gracefully and elegantly, and there's some people that it just turns them into complete psychopathic assholes.
There's also
yep.
There's also different like degrees of wealth, right? Like, you could say someone who makes a 6-figure salary in the South, right, is wealthy. You could say that, and you'd probably be broadly correct. But they're not wealthy in the same way that someone who has $10 million in the South is.
Perspective versus perception. So if you're dirt poor making $20,000 a year, maybe tops, I'm wealthy as fuck compared to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was looking for donations, actually. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Wealth I think is a difficult topic because sometimes wealth itself is not bad, but how did you earn that wealth? Like if you earn that wealth by stepping over other people, by crushing them, by like Walmart's wealth, and I would say the Walmart company itself. I mean, we have to subsidize their workers because they refuse to pay them enough.
That's one.
That's one form where you could say that wealth might not be that great.
Are you saying in that case stealing from Walmart is justified?
No, I'm not saying
I
anything
know,
like
I know.
that.
I'm just playing with you. I'm just totally playing.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I know that's the burner question. Yeah.
But if you take some place like Costco is an employee-owned business. Mm-hmm. They pay their employees very fucking well.
Yes.
They have amazing benefits. Their employees do very well. We don't have to subsidize them. So whoever owns outright Costco, their wealth is probably what I would consider good wealth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're a closed system.
What do you mean
an
by
open
that?
system.
It's a business model.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you have to pay to belong to Costco, do you not?
Oh yeah,
but I'm saying the employees.
The
employees are probably doing really well.
Yeah,
I pay for the benefits of cheap stuff. That's what I'm paying for.
Mm-hmm.
The $65 a month I spent per year I spend at Costco for a membership, I more than make back in one shopping trip.
I was gonna say too, like about 10 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier, I was gonna say like, I don't know if any of you guys own businesses, but yeah, like the bigger the business, like the, that's where more variables come in. And I'm just saying with the small, I thought you were going to make the distinction with the big business and the small business, which now you are. Thank you. And I just think like, the small business on a personal level, I've been involved in companies that that are small and that are also big. And, it's kind of like, it's not just my, I guess it is just my perception, but also I'm not trying to make it that that's what happened. What?
Yeah, I think your perception is pretty accurate. But actually, on the Walmart thing, Walmart does more than just like underpay their employees. Walmart actually, like, when they were expanding, they have gutted a number of small towns in America.
Mom and pop, yeah.
I'm a firm believer in absolutely.
I think I know why Jeff say that.
Who says Walmart underpays?
What, Jeff?
On
you're going to be very
Walmart
proud of me.
I was underpaid in comparison to other companies. Like even like
hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm that guy, but Jeff was saying hold on. So I just repeated it.
I used to be, and still kind of am, very anti-Walmart. I was like, I boycotted Walmart. There were Walmart protests to keep it coming to the neighborhood in Vegas, and I signed up as part of that. And there was a town in Louisiana, I remember, that Walmart came in, and the town didn't want it, and they came in anyway, and the whole town boycotted it, and eventually had to close and move out. And those people drove Walmart.
Fuck
out.
Yeah!
And I was like, so I'm very.
Yes.
I guess my whole point is this is one area where we actually agree, and we're not going to argue about Walmart and the criticisms that you're saying of it. I would normally
everywhere I've been where Walmart has moved in, totally devastated the local people.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, like all the other businesses.
I don't know if I would say it totally devastated where I live, but I mean,
there's some places where it might be beneficial.
People, I feel like,
right? Yeah, there are
in cities. It's actually really beneficial because then you have.
But I think it's for each area to determine and not have Walmart decide.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is Walmart? I mean, do they have any contracts in Congress? Like, if they're just a store I go get stuff from, and I don't really enjoy the experience overall, but I still try to have fun. That's fine with me.
The problem is that it just you go. Walmart moves in, and
is Walmart the Pentagon? Is that where this is going? No kidding.
Walmart's the Illuminati, actually. Actually, wait, don't.
I never heard anybody say that.
I said that. No, I said it without thinking. Man. Walmart is not the
Illuminati.
You
know what's funny? Everybody here on panel is saying that about Walmart, but I'll guarantee if you was involved in the Walmart system on an upper level or part of the Walmart family, you'd have a totally different opinion.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I wouldn't, but holy shit, I definitely would.
Is that like
I went from working in a shop, a privately owned shop, a very small, a small business, so to speak, as a mechanic. And, I've already told the story a lot, but I went to school. Now I work in aerospace, and I work for a major aerospace company, but now I have far more options. I get better benefits, better pay, better hours. There's a lot of benefits to that, but I don't see how a company like Walmart, who goes in, destroys these communities, pays their workers shit, they provide absolutely subpar product. Their groceries are horrible. Their clothing is horrible.
You're right. Yeah, you're right on it, man. You're right on it.
There's really very few benefits that you can really gain from a company that does that to its communities and to its from its companies that it uses to create these products. It's a net negative when you're talking about Walmart. But you can talk to companies like I think Target's actually really good. I think they pay their employees fairly well.
Yeah, I like Target.
Their products are significantly better than Walmart. They're a little bit more expensive, sure, and it's a little bit uppity in there. When you go in there, you're like,
well, how many times have you gone? I know for me, going into a Target is like going into a ghost town. You don't see nobody in Target.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to Walmart. There's tons
There's
of
no
people
of Target.
Yeah. So in my town, we had a Walmart come in, and it you can drive down Main Street and you can see every single mom and pop shop that used to be there is gone.
Yep. Exactly.
They're fucking gone. And the
From
city
what
that I
years,
lived in wasn't
though?
large.
We're talking about over 100 years.
Sorry, what, Jeff?
I feel. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lanza.
I said I thought we were talking about like over about 100 years. I mean, because just think about your family. If you talk to your family, if you had lucky enough to have like great grandma or stuff like that, even grandparents, man, like shit was just so different. So here we are, and they probably thought trains were the shit back then. You know what I'm saying? Like they were like.
Well, I'm 47 now, and I still remember going to these mom and pop shops up in Idaho where I grew up for like the first 9 years of my life, and they sold really high quality products because they had to. They didn't get return business if they sold a shitty product, right?
It's
and this
weird.
Is kind
of, that was all that was like known.
Yeah, and I mean, you could buy tractors or shears that would last you fucking 40 years. I still have a pair of scissors that were my grandfather's because he was an artist. I still own a pair of his scissors today, and they are the sharpest fucking scissors I've ever owned in my life. And I've never sharpened them.
Do you got them right now? You don't have to go get them, but like, what year do you think he was like using those? Like, are you talking about like the 40s and 50s?
So I know for a fact he bought them roughly around 1965, somewhere around there.
Oh God, yes.
I still fucking own those. Those are 80-year-old fucking scissors, right?
I've
gone and bought scissors from like a store, and they've been dull within 2 fucking years.
Well, now we're getting into plant obsolescence.
Yeah. Let's not go down that fucking rabbit hole. But still, like the companies that sold my grandfather that product, he kept going back for other things that he needed because he knew that they would fucking last. But that's not a good capitalist kind of philosophy to have. You want the people to keep coming back more and more and more for the same thing. This is kind of where the idea, and I think as capitalists, we need to, because I'm a capitalist, we need to acknowledge that that's a serious fucking flaw with our fucking with our process.
The throwaway economy.
Planned obsolescence.
Oh yeah, but that's not necessarily capitalism. That's not essential to capitalism. That's just something that's happening.
So it's an emergent property of what the capitalist system did.
Do you think it is tied specifically?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's not a necessary property. Like we can have capitalism without planned obsolescence.
Yes, you absolutely can.
Could, but it's not looking like it's going to go that way.
Yeah, like first off, the type of capitalism we have today does have planned obsolescence, and the only thing that's going to take it away would be regulation to prevent it.
Yeah.
Do we want?
And you
that?
can't. You can't.
Yeah, you can't. Like you can't really.
Isn't some obsolescence good?
You'd have to find me a good example of that because, you know, you've got disposable razors, you've got plastic bags, you've got, you know, you've got computers that functionally, or this is best, phones that are functionally impossible to function after 5 years. You know what I mean? And it's like the phone itself is perfectly fine, but it's like Apple got in huge trouble for this.
Yeah, where they would basically use inferior parts in very specific areas.
No,
of the
they
phone.
programmed the batteries to die after a certain period of time.
There was that too, but this is another thing. They do a bunch of things. Like there's a bunch of different companies that do a bunch of different things. It's especially a problem in like tech. Tech is a
right. You don't want planned obsolescence batteries.
Yeah, like
you want batteries that last fucking forever.
Yeah, like that's what we need. That's what is good and better. Well, it's better to not have to just.
They were working on a bill in Congress to mandate that cell phone people had to go back to the days of you could switch out your battery in your phone.
Yeah, the right to repair stuff. Yeah, no, right to repair is good. I like that's probably one of the areas in which we can circumvent planned obsolescence at least a little bit.
As a mechanic, I can tell you the right to repair was fucking critical to the future of independent shops.
Yeah,
absolutely fucking critical.
Oh my god, like I can't even imagine. Like imagine
without it.
Imagine a world. Imagine a world where you couldn't fix your own car. Like that would be hellish. Like you couldn't change your oil. Like that would be like nightmare world.
Yeah.
Denizen, come up and talk about this.
Accumulation of hoarding resources.
Like, what do you like? First of all, does the human race all have the same incentives, or is it more?
I think
I don't know, local or
put that comment
back. And
up,
how do you reorganize if your incentives emerge from your evolutionary like inheritance? How do you just reorganize your nature? Like,
put that comment back up, will you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Human race needs to reorganize its incentives. The accumulation of hoarding of resources is unsustainable. I'm sorry if any part of that hurts anyone's feelings. Not really. Let's just address that really, really quick. So is it hoarding of resources or is it saving of resources? Because there's a difference between those two things. So I'm going to hoard resources that are important to me personally in the form of, let's say, a savings account, money. I'm hoarding money. You know, so really, like, if you can, just be a little bit more specific about what you mean by hoarding, because that might be a point of confusion for some people.
Yeah, because does everyone here familiar with Salton Sea? Was it California?
Yeah. There was a good movie, by the way.
They just
Salton Sea.
Yeah, they just discovered that it's one of the richest. I think it's lithium, whatever they need, a component for these new batteries. It's got a huge deposit there.
The lithium the lithium.
Yeah,
ones?
I think it's lithium.
I mean, that's probably a positive, honestly, considering that right now, like, we get our lithium from like war-torn countries, from like not slave labor,
and and you know the reason that we go around the world looking for resources as opposed to our own is to save our own resources.
That's actually a valid argument. I would say that's a valid argument.
I think that's probably why we do it. Now, I think the way in which we do it is very exploitative.
Are any other countries doing it less exploitatively?
Okay.
No,
I think if you're a consumer, you're doing it.
Like I got my ass.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a way out of it.
Yeah, I like it's the what's
because a lot of your criticisms that seem like they're of specific things tend to be just criticisms of humans.
Well, no, it's not humans. It's global capitalism. That's my criticism.
No.
But for global capitalism, we would still be the primates that we are. And
capitalism is what drives research.
Would still emerge.
Sure. I mean, I'm making a criticism of global capitalism. This isn't me making my communist, we need to revolt and seize the meats. This is my hey, global capitalism has resulted in this.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's not a good thing.
No, I think you make a valid point there, Lib, because I think it is important, even though as a capitalist, I think it's important that we as capitalists can discern and to criticize the way that our systems are malfunctioning, right? Even if I'm a libertarian and there's a libertarian president, right, I still have the right and the obligation to criticize them. Yeah. So I think in that point you're perfectly valid in your argument.
I would argue further that the way in which companies have been exploiting poorer countries for their resources is something wrong with global capitalism. I think that's a wrong thing.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, countries throughout history have exploited poor countries for resources. There's nothing anomalous about the U.S. doing it.
No.
So it seems like it's a critique of humanity in general, or this stage of human development.
Actually,
more than it's a critique of capitalism or America or any specific entity.
So let me actually take a really quick revamp to that. So like, for instance, our trading relationships with countries like Germany, right, don't have, even though we do buy things from Germany. I think we buy German coal, I think is what some of what we buy, is like the natural resource that we get from there. We buy German coal, but we don't have this German, like our relationship with Germany, or companies' relationships with Germany, is different than those companies' relationships with other poorer countries. In those poorer countries, they're.
But what I'm saying is, how is that different than any other country or time in history? That just seems to be the way things work on this planet.
But it's apparently not the way things work for Germany.
So I think what Lib's trying to get to here is that different countries are going to have a different culture about how they go about doing those things. So let's say I'm just going to use just a random country. So let's say that Sweden says, okay, well, we want to buy X amount of this product from your country, right? Sweden or a company operating within Sweden. Now, let's say that Sweden has a rule. If you want to buy X amount of, lithium, you have to abide by the rules that would dictate whether or not your employees are being cared for humanely, right?
Yeah.
Other countries might be like, I don't give a shit, just give me the fucking lithium.
Well, right? That's why I asked Lip if there's any other country that's doing it better, and he's like, what's his
like
answer?
better than us, and no, like
I think so. Like, is there something
specific
about the way the U.S. is doing that you're critiquing, or are you just critiquing the fact that humans do this throughout history in countries all over space?
Well, I'm critiquing the fact that under our current global capitalist system.
So wait, let me stop right there. You're not necessarily talking about the U.S. You're talking about this larger entity called global capital. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Which is more like my point was that countries are doing this to poorer countries, and what I'm saying, as we always have, but we also, at some point did slavery. And and there were people who were saying, but we've always done slavery. That's just like an innate human thing. And then we, at some point, decided.
Oh, okay.
So if you can envision a better way of doing it, I support your advocating for that. But for the rest of us, that this was the norm that we were socialized to.
I think Lib's point.
I have no problem with it. So I have no problem with you trying to improve it, but don't have a problem with me accepting it because it's the norm that I grew up with. Like, I don't think it's a moral. I don't think it makes me less moral that I'm okay with it as it is.
I don't think it's less moral, but
It's called facing reality.
I don't accept the argument that because that's always the way it's done, that necessarily it's not immoral because it's always the way things are done.
I do. I want you to accept that argument because then you're judging me.
But then we go back to the slavery thing.
So let's say I grew up in a time with slavery and you were an abolitionist. Would you be judging me for that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we do have a problem because I don't like being judged for things that I think are morally neutral. Or just like the Christian missionaries that like the people that don't believe in Christ in all these other countries, and they have to go and tell them about Christ. And there's the debate on like, do they get judged before they hear about Christ or not? Like, are they in?
Let me see if I can make Lib's argument a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
I think what I'm gathering from him and what actually it's them, isn't it?
It's whatever.
Okay.
I prefer she, her, but it's you use whatever.
Okay. So then, so their argument is really, we can have an argument about, are there improvements, right? But what we can't do is say, well, this is just the way that it's always been, so we should keep doing it, because it's not.
I didn't say we should
very
keep doing
productive. Right. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Okay.
I'm trying to steal Man Lib's argument. So if we have a system and a way of doing things that work for us, that's still not an out to being responsible and saying, okay, well, what are the ways that we can improve, or is what we are doing fully compatible with our ethics, right? So if we're
who determines that? Who gets to determine my ethics and whether what I'm doing is compatible with some set of ethics?
Well, you can do it as a society.
Like I'm thinking of, especially like
whatever,
like the petrochemical industry, fossil fuels.
Sure.
Yes,
sure.
Eventually, there probably are better, less harmful like ways to
right.
And eventually we'll phase out. But for a long time, that was normal. And it was actually good for society, and it was supported. Right. And so I don't think all of a sudden those people become evil because now there's better ways of doing it, and there's more negative impacts to fossil fuel. I still think that the people that grew up and embraced the fossil fuel industry as their way of life, they're not bad or immoral people.
I'm not saying that they are.
I haven't think Liv is not saying, but maybe thinking or implying.
I mean, I'm sure there's
definitely a responsibility to investigate whether or not something that we're doing is inherently flawed. So you could say, the petrol industry is a perfectly reasonable industry, but you can also say, well, are there other things that we can do that are going to produce the same result at a lesser cost to our ecology?
Probably, but until you produce those and give people the option to switch to them, don't judge the people that are using the existing option. And that's
I'm not judging them, Jeff.
No, I don't think you are, but that's
I'm not. Okay, so let me.
Hey, Rag.
I think I need to reframe my answer to your question then, because I think I misunderstood it. Your earlier question about the slavery thing, which was if we lived back when slavery was like really big in the world. Not that it's not big today, but it's more accepted when it was more accepted in the world. And you lived there and you just kind of accepted that. And I was an abolitionist. Actually, I think it would kind of depend on. I would want slavery. I would want you to not be pro-slavery, but I, sitting here, understand why you would be pro or neutral on slavery.
I'll take that. That's.
But if I was living back then as an abolitionist, yes, I absolutely would, because I think, and I would presume that if I was an abolitionist back then, that I think slavery is just on its face immoral. I don't think there's anything redeemable about slavery. So like
that just makes you I'm not a moralist. That makes you a moralist. And to me, you're just a judgy prude. Like because if it's not slavery, it'd be something
I'm
else.
A judgy
you
prude
would find some other like people in LA driving cars would get on your nerves, and all of a sudden you're on the like morally righteous, and they're doing something that falls short of your moral standard. And
I should just stop like referencing things, because you go back to them as if like it's a big deal. Like the LA thing was honestly nothing. I honestly like.
It's
I care
just
about
an example because you seemed very exercised over it. It's just an example of something that wouldn't even cause me to blink an eye. That seems to really have you agitated.
Yeah, because
LA smells like piss.
And so, like, you have this strong sense of morality, and you use it to measure the activities and lifestyle.
That's an individual. Yeah, that's an individual perspective.
I would argue that every human being has a strong sense of morality. What their morality might be, it differs between.
I guess maybe that's what we're getting into, because my morality is very like self-determining, and it's like you have a strong sense of morality about what other people should be doing, and my sense of morality is what I should be doing in relation to the world.
Well, I mean, yeah. I would criticize myself if I was any of these. Like, it is like my morality does affect me, but also because what I'm talking about is morality. I think.
How is that different from the people that didn't think gay couples should get together?
That feels that way for you too, because your morality matches the norm.
How is that different from those people? My morality is good.
Okay.
I mean, that's the answer when you're talking about morality. Like you kind of,
yeah, and I'm sure they thought theirs was good too.
Now, I mean, I guess we could get deeper and we could talk about like the, go down to axioms and say like, well, I think that the axioms that I have, which are, I think, broadly speaking, what most people have, in different manners, obviously, are better served by X. Like for instance, I'm anti-slavery. I think promoting human well-being and happiness,
or like the teetotalers in prohibition, like we think you would be better if you didn't drink. Well, okay, that's fine, but that still makes you a moral judgy prude.
So you would argue that the abolitionists around the world in America in the 1800s, they were moral prudes then to you?
I don't know about abolition because you can point to actual human suffering.
I imagine that's what it's like for moral normies. They feel like everyone's proselytizing to them and that they're not just as morally, full of themselves as everybody else.
Well,
it's just a convenient position to be in when your morals align with everybody else, with the average.
Yeah. The problem is that traditionally back in that time, black folk weren't considered humans. That was the entire excuse as to why they were able to enslave them with impunity.
Hell, even abolitionists didn't all agree whether or not black people were human. Yeah, like
I think there was some debate around that, but I don't think that's the reason, the excuse.
Rather,
blacks weren't the only slaves.
They were the predominant slaves in America at the time, though. That's what we're talking about.
And there was actually a system of hierarchy of value when discussing black people in general back then.
Yeah,
I think Lib's got a fairly reasonable argument here, because you can say that something is traditionally this way and still have an ethical problem with it. Or there's nothing wrong with someone saying I have an ethical issue with this.
Yes, but I think it makes you a moral judgy prude when you start to take that problem you have in it and apply it to other people, like strangers that are not having the same priors or inputs that you're working off of.
The morals don't mean anything unless you apply them to everybody.
No, they can't have meaning if they're
and I go back to like homosexuality, gay right? Because people were doing the same thing with that issue.
I think when your morals are like default setting, then you feel impressed upon.
I think the important thing is about where your morality is coming from, because so I think there are valid and invalid ways to. This is just my personal opinion. Okay, I'm not making broad objective statements, Jeff. This is just my personal opinion. I think there are good and bad ways to derive morality, right? So if you were to just read the Bible and then derive your morality from that, I think that's a bad way.
Well, wait. Like, if 100 people read the Bible, they're going to derive 100 different moralities from it. There's not just a single morality that is actually part obviously derived from the Bible.
That is part of the reason why I think that the Bible is a bad way to derive your morality, because you can't arrive at conclusive decisions because it's.
But
are we making a distinction between morality and ethics here?
I'm getting lost because now it's the source of morality. I was just talking about people that have strong moral views of wherever they come from, and how they use them to position themselves in relation to people that don't share their views.
Well, is some morality unethical?
Stigmatized, problematized, etc., for doing something that violates your subjective moral code.
So are some morals or is some morality unethical?
I'm sure there is.
It depends on that's one of the big conundrums in moral philosophy, and one of the things we talk about here a lot is who gets to determine that, who has the authority to evaluate moral claims or moral systems.
I do.
It's all subjective and it's all personal. What higher authority can we turn to evaluate that against and make those determinations?
Me.
Yes. exactly what we're doing here, having discussions about it, and
that's
being
what a
able to
liberal
determine
that's
good.
what liberalism would say. Like there's some
Right, that's what
religions
and
liberalism
say,
outcomes.
well, we have this sacred
Outcomes
scripture
matter.
or this revelation.
Yeah.
But in a secular liberal society, what we're doing right now is the way that I would recommend.
I would prefer it.
I also prefer it. That's
but at some point, someone's got to have.
But when we do it, like we do this long enough, we're just going to come. We're going to have competing moral claims no matter what, with no way to reconcile.
Yeah. Well, if you've got to force your morality or your ethics on someone else, there's an inherent problem there. You should be able to argue for your ethics and your morals in a way that can possibly convince someone else that they should follow that, right? I'm against wholesale. I'm wholesale against forcing people to live up to my ethics or my morality. I should be able to tell them in a good argument, this is why I think that this way that I live might be more beneficial in the long run, right? But forcing people to do that is wholly unethical.
In every circumstance, do you think? Do you think it was unethical? Well, actually, no. This is important. Okay, sorry.
Denizen, I'd asked you to come up because you had typed something in the comment a while back to discuss. I don't remember what it was, but I want to give you a chance to jump in too.
Well, I don't know what it was either.
Okay.
I can answer the question you just asked.
Really fast, Steve. Was it unethical for the United States to forcibly free every slave and like impose that morality?
Are there slaves that didn't want to be freed? Could they have the option?
No. I'm talking about the slave owners. It's imposing it on the slave owners. They are
a whole lot of killing. Jeff, there were slaves that did not want to be freed because that was all they knew.
A whole lot of killing of people who didn't even have any slaves too.
But Steve, because that's someone forcing their morality on other people. That is
absolutely it is.
Well,
was that unethical?
There's a difference
between
legitimate law that was made through the process and forcing morality. Though.
Sorry, I missed the sometimes. I'm sorry.
If it's executed through law, if it successfully reaches the status of law, it's not forcing morality at that point. That's legislating.
Legislating morality. Okay, sorry, legislating morality, different thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of splitting hairs there a little bit.
There's a law that got legitimately passed by the existing political system that abolished slavery.
That doesn't make it ethical.
That's no longer forcing someone's morality because it is someone's morality that got sifted through the democratic political process, and so something more than just forcing morality is at work at that point.
That political process is ass, and it bears no legitimacy to me as whether or not something's moral or ethical.
I can agree with that, Joe. I mean, I don't think that the passage of a law makes something ethical.
But most of the time, the laws come from what society as a whole decides is the norm.
In a democratic society, that's the ideal. But
and I think even in the U.S., that's more or less how it works.
People govern themselves that way, but that's not where laws come from.
Yeah. Well, to give back to you, Lib, I think that's a perfectly reasonable question to ask me. It's a good challenge. I appreciate it. You're absolutely right in the sense that always imposing your morals and ethics is not necessarily a good idea.
Yeah.
However, let me caveat that by saying let's suppose that someone's ethics or morality are just wholesale functionally wrong. They just do not match or comport to any kind of perception of what morality and ethics really are, right?
Sure.
So using slavery as a good example, you can say that on the whole, slavery was both ethically and morally wrong to do.
Yeah.
And you've gone before them, you've said this is wrong, and they just deny that it's wrong. Well, now you have an ethical obligation to enforce your will over a group of individuals who don't acknowledge the fact that what they're doing is unethical.
But why are you the sole deterrent? Why do they have an obligation?
No. We're saying after the whatever democratic process.
Oh, after the law. This is
after the democratic process, right? So it's not me forcing my will on someone else. That would be a dictatorship, right? That would be
general
dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you follow the democratic process all the way through, you've had these discourses, and this person just out and out absolutely just refuses to acknowledge your arguments then yeah, I think that at that point they're obfuscating the truth, and you have an obligation to enforce that. Yeah,
but that enforcement comes from the legal.
Yeah, it comes from the legitimization
like
of the government.
Enforcement is part of the league. So once the law is made, there's an enforcement mechanism already built in that comes with it. That if the person doesn't accept the law, we have this enforcement system we can use on that.
I do agree with the statement that an individual forcing their morality onto someone else, even if that thing is unethical, is usually not good. I don't think I would approve of that broadly.
The only way you could do that in America is through law, right?
Well,
I mean, you could be a bully and personally intimidate someone.
That's kind of what I'm talking about.
There'd be consequences for that they could involve.
I mean, society did that with gay folk back in the 80s. Well, actually, everywhere past the 2000s, they did that.
You could try it, but the only way to guarantee it is through, if you have a very strong sense of morality that you want to enforce, the only way to guarantee it in America is through a law, because then that gives you access to the enforcement.
Well, rights are protected by law. Rights are not ethics or morals. Law is not ethical or moral.
No, it's just
their laws.
By enforcement.
Yeah. That's the natural intent of the founding fathers, was laws should be created to protect the rights of the individual, not create rights to legislate certain freedoms. Right? That's not what their intent was at all. It just became that, but that's not what their intentions were. That's why we have what's called the penumbra and emanations of the Bill of Rights. So in the Bill of Rights, we don't actually have a right to privacy. It does not exist anywhere in the Bill of Rights. Yeah. But you can reference and infer that we do have a right to privacy under the penumbra and emanations of the Bill of Rights. So penumbra and emanations is basically, if you look at it in the sense of a shadow, right? Shadows don't always, if ever, have a very, very definitive border. And they're usually very, very blurred at the very, very edges. And so you can take that, and you can take that concept of that shadow of the penumbra and emanations of the Bill of Rights to include privacy. So you can do that, right? Some things don't always have to be written out just strictly like word for word verbatim, like you have the right to privacy. But you can garner enough, especially with the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, so on and so forth, that you do actually have a right to privacy. Yeah. So some things don't always have to be just hardcore, like ethically, let's make a law about something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for what it's worth,
and the gay movement, if I can finish this really quickly, the gay movement was particularly interesting because the gay movement, you had a social culture that just did not approve of homosexuality, just pretty much across the board. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the gay rights movement moved forward and they got really smart at the tail end when homosexuality was actually mostly socially acceptable. But what they did was they said, love is love was the hallmark motto of the gay movement, right? They made themselves more like the others, so that there was no longer a boundary between us and them. It became like, what do we have in similarity? Like, what do we have in parity here? And that bound the two cultures together in such a way that they were able to see the human being as they are. And I was, you're able to accept Christians. They're able to accept you to a certain degree, right? Being able to live together. And this is what the gay movement really, really expounded on and capitalized on.
Yeah, other groups could take a lesson.
Right, absolutely. But what my point is, like, I want to follow that kind of construct and apply it to ethical conversations, moral conversations, and say, wouldn't it be better if we found a common ground that suited both of us that we can agree on and move forward with integrity? That's the way that I would prefer to do it. And so by forcing someone to do something, it always rubs me the wrong way. I don't want to force people to do something. I want to try and hopefully convince you that my perception is the better, more ethical, more moral, more dominant way of doing things, versus just forcing you to fucking do something. I find that the force appalling and unappealing, just wholesale.
Yeah, that'd be like a judge can marry anybody, whether they're gay or magistrate or whatever.
Yeah.
Always has been. A judge can do that. But in the same token, like what Steve was talking about, if you turn around and tell individual religions that you have to perform this ceremony, then that's wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with
for
you,
what
Steve.
it's worth,
so too. I'm against
I think they shouldn't have to, but I also, by the same token, don't think that like religious officers should be are sufficient to have like a marriage. I don't think they should be. I don't think you should be able to go to like a priest and have him do your marriage, because marriage is like a institution of the state. It's of the government. Connecting it to religion too much.
That's one form of marriage.
Okay.
Religious
So
marriage is a
yeah.
legitimate
Yeah,
form of marriage.
Yeah, no. They can get religiously married, but like I think that if the government recognizes a marriage, they should only recognize like.
Okay, so
I don't think they should recognize any.
There's a problem. There's a problem here, Lib. We need to recognize this. So it's not. So I don't think either the government or churches should have any role to play in marriage. Fucking period. It's not up to a government to decide who can get married and who can't.
It's too late.
Equally, it's not my right and my authority to tell a religion, let's say Catholicism or Protestant. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to say that. Yep, Catholics. It's not our right to tell them that they can't do something either. So to me, it's a matter of the government protecting the right of two individuals to get married however they feel like they should be able to get married, and then they respect and honor that process. So if you want to go to a church and get married, as long as you're following the procedures, like so in Utah we have very specific things that you have to say for that marriage to be legally binding, right? You know, we have to ask, do you stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually legally capable of marrying people. I've married several people.
Can you marry dogs?
No, because dogs can't.
Yeah.
So, so in that sense, you know, I don't want government and I don't want religion ever having a say in who or how you get married. I would prefer it if we had federal protections for people who wanted to get married, and that's fucking it. That's like the end of the fucking pathway there. That's as far as it needs to fucking go.
Yeah, I guess if I were to expand on it just a little bit, what I mean is, I think two people should be able to walk up to whatever the county clerk or whoever. Wherever the whatever government official it is that like actually has to sign the marriage certificate to like, you know, process it and stuff. Just there's one of them. There's a number of them that can do it. It's like Justice of the Peace, county clerk.
They go to Uncle Fatty.
Yeah, they go to Uncle Fatty. All right, they get their marriage certificate signed, and that's it. They can get like have a religious ceremony if they want, but like the religious ceremony itself has no impact on what happens with the government.
Isn't that already how it is here? Like,
yes, it is.
You have to get the marriage license and the legal whatever, and that makes you married. And then the religious stuff is just your ceremony.
Well, no, because a priest can take the place of a justice of the peace or county clerk.
As long as the outcome's the same, whether a justice of the peace signs the license or a priest signs the license,
because the problem is that
you have to make
that priest a agent of the state. They are,
but they are like a proxy for the state, or
they are a proxy for the state. Meaning that
that case they are given
they
are empowered to act as an agent of the state in that one case.
Yes, but the problem is, okay, agents of the state can't like discriminate along certain lines. So like for instance, that what was her name, Kim. The lady in Kentucky who refused to sign the marriage license for the gay couple.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't have
What, you don't have a problem with that?
No, I think as long as there are secular options that ensure everybody who wants to enter is able to, then I don't have a problem with religious options with more restrictive require. As long as people can go through a religious marriage and get the same secular like entry into the same secular institution that anybody else can if they don't go
If
through
the
religion.
government said you have to go to XYZ church in order to be married, that would be wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would
I
would definitely.
If the Catholic Church wants to say we are only going to marry, like our priest will only marry heterosexual couples, as long as there's somewhere else gay people can go to get married, I don't have a problem.
As long as there's another option. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, why would you want to get married by someone who has to force to be there? Like that would just.
No. I'm not talking about that. But like, really fast. So you do agree that like the whatever her name is, the Kim lady who she was a county clerk and she refused
from
to
Kentucky,
because she was acting as a representative of the state. She was in her role as state, and so for that reason, I think she was wrong.
And in
she was because it was a violation of their First Amendment rights.
Yes.
Correct. If she did not like it or want to support it, if she felt that strong about it,
she could have quit her job.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So the really quick point of clarity here, though, Lib, is that whoever is conducting the marriage, I don't believe, and it would be a hard argument to convince me, but I'm open to it. Mm-hmm. They're not a government official by proxy. They're called an officiant. They're basically a witness to the marriage. And then the wedding, or sorry, the marriage contract between the two partners then goes to the state. They are responsible for recognizing it. So it's not by proxy. It's just so happens that the person conducting the ceremony is an officiant. They're the ones providing the service, and then the state takes the marriage certificate, and that itself, if you could condemn it as such, would be the proxy of the government. So it's not the officiant, it's not the person conducting the ceremony, it's actually the government. There's a very clear, in my mind, separation between the two.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I can see why people would see that separation, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of people who aren't involved in the government doing things that the government does.
They're not. They're just attesting to the fact that this is what took place. Thereby, it's up to you to decide whether to approve it or not. All they're saying is, we did X, we did Y, and this is what we believe happened. And it's up to the government to decide whether, we accept what you said on face value. Or no, we're not going to recognize it.
Yeah, I don't have an issue. I don't think like there's people fucking gaming the system using churches to get around some loophole. I don't think that's happening. I just more have an issue with the fact that the word marriage has both religious and legal connotations, and people will use that. Use that argument. They'll like interchange those meanings to like make their argument for whatever anti-gay marriage or something.
Wait, okay, so that's a reasonable
not
argument.
anymore. Not anymore.
No, they still do. Oh, well, hang on. People still definitely use that.
I missed the argument. Say that last part again. They'll use what?
They'll use the term marriage. Marriage has really kind of two meanings.
Well, Andrew Wilson does it exactly what you're saying, but he looks like an idiot doing it. He's in the minority. He does not the.
It is more of a minority position.
Marriage as opposed to civil union. Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
I'm still trying to understand what you're saying. Though they will use the what argument that. What are they going to use?
They'll use the term marriage interchangeably, and using that helps them introduce an argument to be anti-gay marriage, because they'll be like,
give me an example. Like, pretend I'm gay married. What would you say to me?
Your marriage is a sham. The only real marriage is
religiously. It's a sham.
Yeah,
it's not a sham.
Legally, legally is not.
Think about it.
Hey Chuck, what values was the United States founded upon? Judeo-Christian values. That is why.
Judeo-Christian values, Enlightenment values, classical value, Western value. It was a combination of value because it's part of Western civilization, and we had several thousand years of multiple cultural values woven into that.
I'm going with Jeff on this one.
Oh no, I mean I agree. I'm not saying that it's a good argument. It's actually a very
I'm still
piss-poor
trying to
argument.
understand how the marriage.
So I think what Lib is trying to say is that some people use marriage interchangeably as a bludgeon to tell people that they don't have a right to be married.
That carries no power anymore, because all the person has to say, well, I have my marriage certificate right here that says it's legal. So
exactly.
Well, that's
so I don't understand the danger that Lib's worried about. Like, somebody's going to make fun of somebody's gay marriage by saying it's not a real marriage. I mean, that might happen. Like, okay,
there's a real threat.
Rare.
There is a real and genuine threat to gay marriage in America.
Even after the Respect for Marriage Act?
There is no threat.
Lib sees threats everywhere that I don't see it. It's like an Easter egg.
I know.
I'm turning over every rock and so trying to find the egg. He's talking about it. He's the only
one.
I'm
interested to try and understand Lib's perspective here, because I don't see
Where
it. Where
is the threat?
From the Republican Party, who's broad.
The one that helped pass the Respect
for
Marriage Act.
Let's let him finish. Let's let him finish.
Republicans joined to help pass it.
Well,
have you looked at the numbers of support for gay marriage from the Republicans?
So
they're huge, but let's let him finish his argument. I want to hear him. I want to hear what he says.
This has not stopped the deluge of far-right propaganda, which is still very, very, very anti-gay marriage. If you look at like big pundits and politicians, a lot of them are still very anti-gay marriage, despite the legal protections we have. But as has been demonstrated, legal protections can be gotten rid of in a myriad of ways. I think gay marriage is more secure than it used to be, but that doesn't mean that there's nobody in America who is actively pushing.
How many people
in
America do you think? How many people?
I don't
think we're saying there's nobody, but I think we're saying there's not enough to worry about. I feel marriage is secure enough for me to move on to another issue and not have to worry.
I mean, what population of the country would you have to say reach for your argument to be a serious concern?
How many people are in Congress?
455, I believe.
Yeah.
455. You would need
2/3.
What? 250 or no, it's not 250. Like 350 Republicans.
Right.
Or not even Republicans. They just have to be. They just have to be anti-gay marriage people.
Yeah, I mean, Democrats were against gay marriage until recently too. So
So like,
I mean, Obama was.
Yeah, it's just not in right now. There's not as much of
two different realities when we look at the trajectory of support for gay marriage. I don't see what he's seeing. I see the complete opposite.
Let's break it down.
When I look at the data.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm against gay marriage. Period. Okay. Sure. Baseline. I'm against gay.
Oh. Yeah, don't do that, Chuck. You hit the wrong button. You hit the wrong button.
Whether I'm Democrat or Republican, bears no difference.
Well, no. My point is, though, right now that the anti-gay sentiment is firmly in the Republicans' court right now. Like that's.
No. Don't even get me started on the people from the left that are anti-gay in relation to the trans issue.
What do you mean? Explain.
Really quick,
preference. Not being attracted to trans men, it makes you transphobic.
I am interested to know how many people believe that. Since that's a valid metric. I don't think it's zero.
2 years was full of it, so I only have Twitter to go off of.
So because
could you repeat that, Jeff?
There's
your statement.
So there was this movement in the trans activism that if you're gay, or even if you're straight and you're not attracted to a trans person, if you don't treat them as equal to the gender you're attracted to, then you're transphobic. So if I don't want to sleep with a woman, like a woman who's turned into a man but still has a vagina and no penis, I would be transphobic.
Exactly.
It's called genital preference. And genital preference is transphobic, to have a preference for a certain set of genitals.
Yeah,
and not
as somebody who is in many very, very queer communities, I can safely say that I know, guesstimating here, 0 people who.
Okay, well, go look
hear
at my
this.
Twitter feed or do a search on my Twitter feed, and don't gaslight me that it's not happening. I'm imagining this and making it up.
It
Yeah,
has
you're
happened,
not.
Lib.
You're right.
It has
No.
happened.
I'm
In fact,
not,
there's a
I'm not
whole
saying,
website. There used to be an entire website that would catalog all the different tweets of people saying this, and they were hateful and ugly, and it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
what is the
of
website?
I'm trying.
And even though you're gay, they were against you, right, Jeff?
It was
Yeah.
What's it called? Breed cotton, the cotton ceiling, or cotton they've had a name for it.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm gonna
boxer ceiling.
I'm going to talk to Lib about this really quick. So Lib is partially correct in the sense where he's coming from, because even in Utah, the majority of voters in Utah voted to legalize gay marriage.
Yeah.
The legislature went back and vetoed that, as did the fucking governor. So they did not represent the people in their belief that gay marriage should be legal. And this was right before, it was like 2 years before the Supreme Court made their decision. Right. And so the rights of the people were not heard in Utah. And then our legislators went through and said, no, this is not going to fucking happen, even though they're supposed to represent the people. So there is a danger there, but I think we've cleared that danger majoritively, because we've got several things in place. We've got laws in place. We've got the Supreme Court decisions. I think it's not going to be as much of a threat anymore, Lib, as it once was.
Supreme Court decisions aren't actually that,
I didn't want to ignore your point, and so that's I wanted to bring that up to enforce your point that actually did happen. It's possible to happen, but I think there's not a chance really of it really happening anymore. We've got so many protections in place.
I don't think it's like a.
Are you worried about interracial marriage rolling back?
Actually, a little bit.
You got the Love Act, so
you just.
I mean,
you're like
no.
You just have too much worry.
Well, no. The reason I say that is because when okay, so interracial marriage is broadly accepted in America today.
More than broadly, it's massively accepted.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're right.
Because I can remember when it was
even in Louisiana, even among the racists, I don't know a single person that has a problem with it.
Yeah, 86% of Americans agree with interracial marriage.
Yeah. Again, maybe I just knew too many fucking racists. I did know. I'm like,
oh my god, you're looking for an argument that doesn't exist.
I mean,
you're trying to create an argument.
I'm telling you, I literally knew a guy who, like, he fucking disowned his daughter for having a black boyfriend. Like,
I did.
It was fucked up. It was super fucked up. But like, that was just like a kind of normal thing. Like, everyone just kind of went about their like. I'm saying this because it was a guy from my church. And like,
when was he born?
And, I don't know. He was like, how old was he then?
But how do you get from that one guy to the scale of the problem that you think it is now?
I think a better question would be how could I convince you that not that your opinion is wrong, but how could I convince you that the concern that you may have is probably greater than the actual reality of the situation? What would I have to do to prove that to you?
Okay.
Greater than the problem, yes.
On the interracial thing, I don't think I'm not as worried about interracial marriage as I am.
What about the other thing then?
Gay marriage, I think the thing that would convince me broadly. I'm
going to write this down. I am paying attention.
Okay, you would have to show me at least one, though preferably at least two, large right-wing figures, pundits, or politicians, who have been actively how do I want to put this? I almost want to say not standing in the way of protecting gay rights, maybe.
Well, show me the ones that are. You talking about Matt Walsh?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I mean,
Why is that what it would take to
doesn't-
make you feel okay?
It doesn't stop with Matt Walsh.
Pundits. Why is it?
Unfortunately.
A pundit is nothing more than an opinion piece.
Yeah, they do have dis-sized influence. Like pundits aren't nobody.
So I think I can give you 2 examples right now.
Okay, please do.
One example is the governor of my state absolutely refused outright to veto any bill diminishing the rights of gay folk to marry. Like he said it, he's on record doing it. He's a Republican.
He's not a pundit.
Well, he's an active member of
I know, but
the
politics. Walsh or somebody, because
no. Here's a great example. Here's a better example.
Actually, no. Politicians work. Actually, politicians are probably better than pundits.
I've got another one for you then, but this is an actual pundit, Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro said that he doesn't believe it's right to force religions to marry people, but he also said that he doesn't believe that it's the right of the government to be able to dictate who can marry. So by his account, gay people should have the right to marry.
I got 60 of them for you,
huge political pundit.
There were like 60 Republicans that helped to pass the Respect for Marriage Act in Congress. 60 Republicans in Congress doing what you just said.
Was it only 60? I thought it was more. That was why I wasn't asking about.
No, it was like 12 on the Senate side and whatever, like 30, 40 something on the House side, but all together in both houses, it was like 59 or 60, 61, something like that.
Okay.
So the 2 examples I gave you, one, I can reasonably suspect that you would not accept. I
mean,
Ben
Stephen Cox, I do. Stephen Cox, I definitely do. I actually
they're going on record supporting it, and they're not getting the credit for it from you.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean Ben Shapiro gets a little bit of credit for
the
not
Congress
being
people. I'm talking about the people that helped pass, the Republicans that helped pass the Respect for Marriage Act to protect gay marriage are doing exactly what you just asked for 2 of, and I don't feel like they get the credit from the left.
I'll give you one more example of Governor Cox being much more open to ideas. So there was a bill that was proposed in our state legislature that restricted trans kids from competing. However you feel about that is irrelevant to this conversation. Yeah. But what he did was he said, I am not going to sign a bill into law that is restricting 4 fucking people, 4 individuals, 4 children. That's it. That's the only, we only had 4 trans kids.
There were only 4 people that this applied
whole state. In the whole state, we only had 4 trans kids that were trying to compete in sports. Why would he legislate a law that would only affect 4 fucking people? He refused to do that. He absolutely refused to sign that bill, and our state legislature went ahead and bypassed his veto. Right. So he again, you have a very right-leaning individual who says, I'm not going to restrict the rights of people based on 4 people.
So,
also, hang on. He said a quote. This is a quote from him. These kids, they're just trying to stay alive, he said, referring to studies showing that 56% of youth have been attempted suicide. Okay. He's actually shockingly based.
Right.
I think you just need to get out of your little
So let me ask you this.
I mean, he's a Republican. If he was a Democrat, I would just think this is normal. But
right. But does this kind of help you be convinced that the problem might not be as large as you suspect? Not that there aren't threats. Absolutely, there's going to be individuals and groups of individuals that do persist.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm just thinking. My apologies. Yes,
it's emotional. I don't think it's logical based.
I will take that yes all fucking day long.
I want to address this DeFreak comment. If straight marriage is fucked up right now, if your marriage rates or whatever, that is not anything to do with gay people. So don't tie the current state of heterosexual marriage to
also
the fact that
straight marriages have kind of been in the ditch for a while. What was it like? 70 or no, it wasn't that high. There was a ridiculously high divorce rate.
That's a false correlation.
False equivalency.
Yeah.
I mean, also, it's not even it's not even true, because the divorce rates for straight couples in America have been like increasing for a long time. Like,
yeah,
they've been on the rise for a while. It wasn't gay marriage that did it.
No, it was like
Yeah.
part of it was feminism and then the red pill reaction to it. I think
Yeah.
there's something going on between men and women now that wasn't going
It's
on.
like,
in the
I think in
generations.
reality, it's like 60-40 or 50-50, somewhere in that area with the
Yeah.
divorce rate.
I've heard numbers between 50 and 75%, and I think it just is dependent upon the areas that you're at. But I know for a fact it was at like 56% a couple of years ago.
And I think the divorce rate is due to people, whether it be man or woman or man and man, whatever the case is, for failing to take accountability or failing to put the work in,
Yeah.
or
It's
failing
just
to
the
do
normal,
their research before they tied the knot.
yeah, it's all like the normal, like, human reasons why people get divorced. It turns out that divorce might just be like a thing that is kind of common if you let people have the choice. Like,
Yeah,
People
I don't
change.
know. I'm gonna side with Chuck on this one. Is I think it's a lack of making sure that you're actually with the right person, and that takes time.
I
and
agree.
It can be
Exactly.
that. It can be that, but also people change. Like relationships have life cycles.
Oh
and
yeah, outgrow each
Yeah.
other.
It
Yeah.
could be a combination of.
Yeah, and I
Because
don't
even if you end up with the right person, that like 50, 60 years together, there could be situations.
Yeah,
that
and
you grow
I
apart.
think the whole, my whole thing on it is that, like, divorce rates being high is not good. That indicates a number of things,
Unless
but
they're abusive, like maybe there's a bunch of abusive relationships that are.
well, yeah, sure. I mean, that's
Not
that's a
50%.
healthier. Yeah. Like, I think we all agree that divorce should be legal based on that, or should be legal based on that alone. Based on the fact that there are people who will abuse their spouses, you should be able to remove yourself from that person in every way legally possible.
Yeah. Well, the thing that kind of puts the squirt in his comment is like, okay, so the heterosexual divorce rate is about 55%. Guess how high the lesbian divorce rate is?
Oh, wait, it's the
significantly fucking higher.
Yeah, the lesbian divorce is really
80
high.
or 85.
That was a
80%.
meme even in the gay world when I was in.
Whereas the gay men, it's significantly lower.
Way lower. Way lower. So the issue isn't. Yeah, the issue isn't about gay marriage and straight marriage, competing for who's doing better. They're both doing, I would say, what would be expected at this point in time. So there's not really any kind of equivalent or relevant argument there. I don't suppose. At least I'd have to be convinced otherwise. But for now, I don't see how the two are even remotely mutually exclusive to one another.
DeFreak, oh my god. Oh, he is. I'm not against gay marriage, and he fucking spelled it G-H-E-Y. Just call it something else. You want to be all Aussie and Harriet now, like mommy and daddy? No, I don't think so. Or aren't gay creative? Make your own traditions.
Fucking trolling in the comments, Frank. I love it.
No, it was Freak, not Frank. No, Frank is cool.
Oh, okay.
No, Freak is kind of interesting. He doesn't have anything against LGBTQ at all, but this is the curse. You know what? You have convinced me to Freak. The way you're talking about this, I can see you have nothing against gay people. Calling gay marriage a curse, nothing against gay people. you're really making your point to Freak.
I think, for me personally, if we're speaking on marriage, I think the most important thing to think about here is that we've stopped this culture of continuously learning who your partner is. And I think people tend to they tend to try and find more reasons to leave each other than to stay together.
I agree.
So, as people get older, they change, they evolve, they change, their perspectives change. And it's kind of up to you as their partner is to help understand them and to grow with them rather than grow away from them.
Yes.
And I think this is a big flaw in how marriage is perceived currently.
People treat marriage as a commodity off the Walmart shelf these days.
Yeah.
They don't put enough forethought into it.
And then there's also like issues where people will get, it's not as it's not as much of an issue nowadays, but it still happens where people will get married young because they grew up in a very abstinence place, and they're young, horny, they're 18, and they're like, I want to have sex.
That's very common in LDS culture.
Yeah, actually, more common in more restrictive places. I was just like, I knew a person who did that, and that did not work out very well for her at all.
Didn't work out well for me. I was married at 20 and divorced by 23.
Yeah, like honestly, getting married early is usually not advised, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Unless you have a baby.
I mean, 100 years ago, it would have probably been more beneficial because you were less soulmates and you were more role mates. It mattered more about what you could do for the family rather than how you could be there for your spouse. But that's not the culture that we live in anymore, and there's no turning that clock back. And so we have to adapt to the new way that it is.
Yeah.
And rather than remaining role mate and soulmate, we need to have soulmate and soulmate.
Yeah. And not that the idea of like role mates has completely gone away or needs to go away. In fact, I think like even if you have this idea of this person is your soulmate, you need to work like that whole like role mate thing. It's a very like practical way to approach marriage that I think is very helpful for people. Because like even, I mean, for me, like
it is probably the single biggest reason why mankind is still around today.
Yeah, like because you learn not only that I really like this person and hanging out with them and spending time with them, but also we make a good team. We can live life well together, and that's like
Fiddler on the Roof, dude. Fiddler on the Roof. They had a song about that very fucking thing. Do you love me? I don't know. Yeah. Do I love him? And by the end of the song, she's like, yeah, I do love him because we've built this amazing life together.
Yeah,
we've been each other's stone.
Yeah, and at this point, we're kind of like we're more at the point where socially you are supposed to fall in love before you get married, not after, which is distinct from how marriages tended to used to go. I don't think that's like bad necessarily. I do think it has caused issues because like we were still treating marriage like it was 200 years ago, and yet our culture has shifted.
But even so, you get married, you're supposed to work at it. A lot of people don't even want to put that effort in.
Yeah, but that's I think our perception of what marriage is has shifted. Like like we've seen this soulmate stuff, but we've completely discarded this thing about like role mates, about working together, partners, and that kind of thing. And I think that's the thing we need to. You need to like run back in time, pick that up, and find out how it'll fit in our current cultural conception of marriage. Because if we get that, I think that will help people. People will lead happier lives. You won't have
things like Fresh and Fit and whatever podcast doing that kind of stuff? Are they having those kind of conversations?
Fresh and I mean, I'm sure there are podcasts. I don't think Fresh and Fit is doing that. From all I have seen from Fresh and Fit, which admittedly is not very much, but it's enough to know that I don't think that they are attempting to recapture some good faith like idea that people should work together towards a common goal in a partnership.
That's so basic. Like that's like kindergarten level basic, just in general for humans living together. I don't know how.
Well, yeah, but we've
gotten so missed lately with this new generation.
Well, it's
because I want what I want and I want it now. If I don't get what I want, then I'm moving on to something
and no
else.
sense of like collaboration or interdependence or cooperative living.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's a thing, and it's not even a gendered thing either. I think men and women have the same like kinds of problems with this. Like I know there are people who be like, oh yeah, it's all women. Women just want to be able to up and leave whenever they want, and it's like that's
well, they do have a new empowerment that they didn't have before. I do understand that some of it, like they're not as dependent on a man, so that change, like the power differential is changing.
Yes, but that's good. That's allowing people to live more free. Like if it was 1940 and a woman, well, I guess No, yeah, actually 1940. And
But if the relationships up to this point were based on one type of power dynamic, and that dynamic is changing and shifting, then that is going to throw off.
Yeah, but that's why I think we need to sort of like revitalize that idea of people having the role mates. I actually really like that, role mates as opposed to soulmates. I actually kind of like that.
I'm worried about you, Jeff.
Well, you got to leave those comments up there a little bit longer, Jeff. Nobody ever gets to read all of them.
Oh, I read really fast.
On my life right now. It might break my heart one day, but we'll see. Yeah. I mean, hey, look, that's okay. Call me a cynic, but I think that is even if like it's someone you love dearly, like you want to spend the rest of your life with, accepting that person might not be in your life at some point in the future, I think is. Well, yeah, but like
it's always a risk. There's always that is the price of admission. You're always at risk.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Love dies or lovers die, but there will be an end at some point.
Yeah, I don't think what Jeff is saying is like a sad thing. It's a recognition of,
and it's where I have
reality. Yeah,
taken that risk once before. It ended tragically. And I would do it again over and over and over. It was so worth it.
And I mean, I've been married 3 times. I finally got it right.
For me, it was worth taking that risk.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in my 3rd marriage. I'm finally getting it right.
Yeah.
What's a role mate?
So there's this argument that pre-1900s, before the women's suffrage movement and everything else, life was really fucking hard. Life was really shitty. You didn't have access to a lot of different things like pre-milled oats and grains and shit like this. And so a lot of the time couples would get married depending upon how well, they could join forces and do shit to keep their family alive. So men would tend to the fields, they'd tend to the animals, they'd fix the farm and whatever it was. This was a 16-hour fucking day. They're working their asses off.
Right.
In the meantime, the wives were in the house. They were grinding their own meal for their foods. They were preparing foods. They were raising the children, bathing the children, cleaning the house, all this other shit they were doing, like another 16-hour day. So marriages tended to be more about what role that you played in your success rather than how well are we connected emotionally.
Gotcha. Okay.
Gotcha. And then when we entered into the 20th century, the women's suffrage movement, women's rights, we got a lot of different things, sanitary napkins, birth control, other things that allowed women to more creatively control their fate. They started to look more inwards, not to mention we had more easily prepared foods. We had ice boxes that stored food better. We had all of these different options for taking some of the work out of the women's hands, which left them with free time to investigate their own feelings, their own thoughts, their own desires, their own passions. But men were still perceived as the role mate, like provider, protector, going to work every day, providing for the family, right? So men were stuck in that role mate, and women were now transitioning and evolving into the soulmate perspective. And the problem is we haven't brought men up with us or with the women's movement, so that men can start thinking about what role they play other than role mate. So there's these two competing differences, and I think this is a reason why a lot of marriages fail, is because they're not speaking the same language, right? Men are still stuck. This is the role that I play, and women are like, I need a fucking partner. I need someone that I can contend with, that I can speak to, that I can rely on emotionally. Right. And so these things tend to start breaking up rather quickly. Gotcha. So that's the history of the perception of role mate versus soulmate.
There's like a new paradigm that women are working off that the men haven't come to yet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Even in this great day of change, do you know we have yet to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment?
I was not aware of that.
No, we don't have the ERA.
I think every year, like we get closer. There's a few states who want to do it, but they can't hit the number yet.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I just find that fascinating.
That is fascinating. I mean, on the other side, is it really needed anymore?
Symbolic.
Well,
it's symbolic.
Just like
I think it's important to have symbolically, and I think for perpetuity, maybe. It just kind of goes back to sort of English common law kind of stuff, like I understand why the English common law system was useful. It was definitely very useful.
I got it. I got a question too after Lib's done.
Yeah. Okay. However, it was not the perfect system, and it wasn't also actually that good overall. It
was a bit messy.
It was a little messy. And I think like having things written down and be like, this is the rule. Even if that rule can be changed, having it like.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the English common law system was more based on precedent than it was like actually making an argument for the case.
It was
actually making it actual law.
Yeah, I think it uses case precedent because 49 states in the U.S. work off of English common law, and Louisiana is the only state that works off of civil law, the Napoleonic Code, and it's a totally different system of law. It's not case precedent based.
Yeah, go on, Lib. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and I was just gonna end this by saying, don't really like Napoleon, but honestly, his civil revamps within Europe were actually like interesting and cool after reading about them, even if he was Napoleon.
Well, you can disagree with the man, but the ideas are what matter.
Yeah, like he revitalized his system, revitalized Europe, even after his fall, because they kept it. A lot of places like kept that kind of system because it as a civil system it worked. It was good. Anyway, sorry, Chuck, you had a question.
Yeah, this is kind of a little off the subject a little bit, kind of. Does anyone with a computer handy know the percentage? And don't hate me for using this term, because I don't believe in the term African American, but what percentage of the U.S. is black compared to white?
Well, it's now reached 14%.
Okay, last time I checked, it was like 11%.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, it's now 14%.
Okay,
13
has had significant growth.
How is it that we are boosting a 10, 12, 14% number, trying to boost it to a majority, irregardless if it's black or white or black or one? I mean, men or women, or just in concept.
Who's trying to boost the number?
I'm talking about what the. Go ahead, Lib.
I was going to ask. Are you talking about like are you talking about like the idea of like diversity quotas and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like diversity quotas. I think they're bad broadly.
Yeah.
I mean, they can be useful in certain circumstances, but like very, very rarely.
Or even take diversity. What is it? DEI, they call it. Diversity, equality, inclusion.
Equity
and inclusion.
Yeah.
It's.
How do you reach that level?
By through corpo shit.
Through what?
Yeah.
Corpo shit. Like DEI has been broadly a niche. Was it even like a thing within social justice communities before? I don't remember. Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was massive. I mean, I can go back into the early 2010s and tell you definitively that it was there.
Oh no, I'm talking about DEI specifically. I know about like the diversity.
It supposedly started with Kimberly Crenshaw in '87, but there was the Combahee River Collective in the '70s that was like developing something similar to DEI that they believed that she was.
Eric Smith wrote about that, the Combahee River community, in his book, A Critique of Anti-Racism in Rhetoric. Yeah.
But the reason I ask questions is I'm extremely open-minded, so I'm always trying to learn a little bit more
and
get an understanding.
DEI is primarily used by like companies and institutions as I don't know. I can't definitively say that it's always the sort of like rainbow capitalism stuff, but. Given the fact that like we moved, at least allegedly moved past the idea of like diversity quotas, at least in this space that we're talking right now, the fact that like they're doing DEI again screams to me of desperate PR people trying to prevent their companies from looking bad. by making them look progressive.
I think if I could answer that question as well in my own way, if you're done, Lib.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so if you look at the face of the DEI movement, what they're trying to do is, I mean, it's a worthy cause in the sense that, you know, having a system in place that helps us recognize deficiency within our own social cultures, saying, you know, hey, maybe we're not paying enough attention to these individual people and we need to give them an opportunity as well. It's a great perspective to hold, and I think it's an honorable one to hold.
Yeah.
The downfall to that is that it has been twisted and manipulated by certain groups to enforce perspectives and I would even say morals and ethics into systems to try and benefit just a select few rather than trying to benefit everybody, because everybody benefits when there's more diversity within our own groups, right? We're able to give better perspectives, different perspectives that help increase our knowledge and our ability to make more rational, reasonable skills.
Diversity in all ways.
No, not skin color diversity adds no intellectual diversity to anything. Like the diversity Steve's talking about of perspectives comes from experience.
Yeah.
Regional differences, cultural differences. It is not tied to skin color, and DEI ties it to skin color. They tie the benefits of diversity to the color of someone's skin or their demographic characteristic, not to their viewpoint, their experience, their personal background, character, etc.
Yeah, that's why I don't like DEI.
Yeah, that's the way I perceived it.
Yeah. And DEI grew out of basically Kimberly Crenshaw and a lot of the CRT academics they go back quite a while ago. But Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality was a brilliant argument in the sense that she had plotted out something that we already all knew, which was everybody's perception is built around the environment that we were raised and that we had most access to, and these, in a sense, without trying to be punny about it, colored our worldview and our experiences, right? And so, in that sense, the DEI movement really built heavily off of Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality, and it's not to say that Kimberly Crenshaw is wholesale wrong. She's not. She has a lot of really great arguments, and even herself said she doesn't like the way that some of her intersectionality is being used to denigrate or to oppress certain peoples. So even on that framework, we understand that there's significant problems with the DEI movement.
Yeah.
And it has infested certain corporations. I'm not going to name any because one of them might be mine. So
yeah.
But it actually is treated very differently in a large corporation than what we see it in public, in newsletters or in news articles and such. It's actually practiced much more lackadaisical in a large corporate environment, at least from my experience. It could be different for every different company out there, but you have a breakdown when you try to place a value on a human being and their image and their experiences over other people and their personal experiences. So, for example, there's a woman, and I can only remember her first name, Nicole. She was an attorney in New York. She's on my Twitter. I talk to her occasionally. But she helped run an advocacy group that was for domestic violence victims, specifically women. And this DEI group was brought in, and basically, short story, said, "Well, because you're white, even though you're a Jew, you need to shut up and be quiet and listen." And she's like, "Fuck you."
Oh God,
that is not an applicable reason.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like the left
God.
is becoming more anti-Semitic as it goes on. But so she was like, "Fuck you. That is not right. That is not okay. Like, you don't get to tell a group of people that their opinions don't fucking matter because of the color of their skin. Go fuck yourself."
Yeah. For also on that topic,
and it goes the same way too. We don't have the authority to tell Black people their experiences don't matter because of the color of their skin either.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Really fast. I did want to actually. You reminded me of this because I have been seeing this more and more, Jeff. And I wanted to say, I see the anti-Semitism that is emerging on the left. It's fucking horrifying.
Amen.
It's not like it's not like the left is all going to turn into like Nazis and do another Holocaust yet.
Yeah,
But the rise,
they're
but the rise,
close with Antifa.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think most people
Are you seeing it on social media or
on social
Both.
media?
yeah,
Both social media and personally, I've heard
what's
it.
the
I haven't.
Is
I haven't
there
seen
anything
it.
I could have could I have convinced you a couple of months ago when I was saying this, or is it just something you had to see for yourself, or is there anything I could have done differently to accelerate awareness?
I think because like my issue is the thing that really convinced me was seeing a number of like big names sort of like going into like more anti-Semitic tropes. Notably Hassan Piker.
I didn't even know you. I didn't even know you watched him. Yeah,
I mean, I don't watch him like I don't like watch him, but I mean, I don't really.
Hang on,
like
I gotta take this call 1 second. Hang on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, I don't really like Hassan that much. I think he's kind of a fucking idiot, and is really bad on basically every international policy he has. It's like god awful. Domestically, he's like fine. He's like a Bernie Sanders liberal domestically. So,
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I know. I think he calls himself a socialist, but
Wait, who? I didn't hear. Bernie Sanders?
Hassan Piker.
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, like I don't know, like seeing him and then not like I don't know that just like was a big shift for me. And then I started looking around. I looked on his subreddit, and there were a couple other subreddits that I just started seeing stuff popping up. It usually would like get like banned, right? Because like even if there are, it's becoming a problem individually. I think most of the people that I at least follow are pretty firm on being not anti-Semitic.
I think you're going to end up being a base centrist.
I mean, I'm
really
probably not. I'm an anarchist, Jeff.
I see a different future for you.
I mean, I guess like politically.
Speaking of anarchists,
yeah,
I was talking to this person that was talking about developing a community on 100 acres or 200 acres of getting away from the government and getting away from taxes and getting away from tyranny and, you know, their anarchist views. But when I started asking more questions on how you achieve certain objectives, all they were doing was recreating the society we have now.
Yeah, Chuck, you talked to probably, if they were an anarchist, they were an ANCAP, anarcho-capitalist. They're not anarchists. I hate saying this to people who don't.
I can only go by by what they told me they were.
They say they claim to be anarchists, but in my experience, it very rarely are people who espouse that kind of ideology actually ideologically anarchists. They can
like anarchists that demand more legislation.
Exactly.
It's a fucking joke, dude.
No. I mean, I understand that. I actually, and that is more about like having to differentiate like my political ideals and what can actually be done in reality. But like ANCAPs will like they like, oh, we can do this now, and like they'll go out and try and do it and then fucking fail because it turns out when you
and I didn't mean to sidetrack the combo.
No, it's fine. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people who do that kind of stuff. I'm not big into that. I think that is mostly.
Can we agree that anarchy will never happen?
No.
Oh yeah, it'll never happen.
I do not think so. I think that it is possible. It's not.
Why would you want anarchy when you can hang out with us?
Bad Mad Max would never happen. I'm sorry.
I think
Mad
we're
Max
better
will
than
never happen.
I'd like to live in a society where that was both anarchist and I could hang out with you. Because I think in an anarchist society I could.
What's missing from just hanging out with us? Like, why do you need anarchy on top of that?
That's a broader political thing. You're not enough. I need to eradicate homelessness, Jeff. Okay.
You need to eradicate what? Billionaires?
Homelessness.
Also, all of this is about how all of
No, I just picked a thing.
He sounds like Talcott with that attitude.
I mean, yeah, but like
Talcott, I hooked him and Talcott up one day.
Yeah, but Talcott show the difference is
to see their
the difference is that Talcott thinks that this is like a thing that is eminently like achievable like now.
Right.
If everyone were to just change their opinions willy-nilly, and that's just not.
If everybody went out and gave a homeless person a sandwich tomorrow, you'd still have the same situation.
Still be homeless.
But
exactly,
sandwich is not going to cure homelessness.
But you'd have at the this is the liberal talking. But you'd have fed homeless people, which is better than not feeding. Which is better than not feeding homeless people. Well, you give them sandwiches every day.
On whose dime?
Elon Musk.
Why instantly people go to the wealthy?
Well,
why is it the wealthy's responsibility only? That's what I don't understand.
It's usually because people who are uber wealthy tended to achieve that wealth by hurting lots and lots and lots and lots of people. It's the same thing as like I don't think that like I think it would have been good and correct, say for instance, in the Roman Empire, if people rose up and broke apart the empire and took all the money because and distributed amongst themselves, and because Rome built that wealth off of literally warring, pillaging, and raping,
like any other civilization in history. Like what?
Not any other.
But we're not in Roman days.
He's a utopian. Right. There's no country that's ever existed in history or presently that exhibits his vision of society. So this is a utopian vision. It's never existed on Earth.
What I find, Jeff, is that people that had a bad interaction with cops become cop haters and auditors.
Yeah.
What I find is people that don't have money automatically hate the people that do have money. And the list goes on and on and on.
Well, in Liv's case, it becomes even more interesting because he talked about his upbringing himself, and added more insight.
I grew up reasonably wealthy.
Yeah, he's a wealthy.
So he has mental health issues.
Wealthy rich kid with daddy issues. This is all about the rich daddy.
It's definitely all daddy issues.
I think pointing the finger at pointing the finger at the wealthy is an easy argument to make about a complicated situation.
Yeah, just to be aware, I was jesting when I said who's going to pay for it, Elon Musk. I was being glib. The idea would be,
but you would not turn it down if you could get him to pay.
No.
You would do it.
Fuck no. If I could get Elon Musk money and then distribute it amongst like everyone, that would be fucking sick.
So if anybody remembers, someone, I can't remember what group approached Elon Musk because they were being critical of him, and Elon actually said, figure out how to do it, write me a proposal, and I will pay the $6 billion required to do it. And they did not fucking follow through with it, because what Elon Musk is not going to do is give $6 billion to somebody with no fucking strategic plan.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I got a plan to cure homelessness. Open up Alcatraz, the island, not the prison, the island.
I don't think that will actually work.
Well, I can see a lot of problems with that. I mean, you could open up entire areas, but you'd have to be careful because one group is going to complain that you're redlighting those homeless people into certain areas that are less desirable. So
that's not what that wasn't what I was trying to
I know that's not your intention. I know that's not your intention, but I'm saying that the result of that is a certain number of people would probably have that argument throwing back at you about it. But I think there's a lot of things that we could do. We spend a lot of money in places that we shouldn't. We have a superfluous amount of federal agencies that don't need to exist, like the FBI. And we could put those that money
I disagree
else.
with you.
Well, we have multiple agencies that do the same thing that the FBI does. So it's kind of a useless. It's a useless federal agency.
I got a problem when the federal government spends $300,000 on a grant to study the flow rate of ketchup.
It doesn't have one, especially the glass bottles.
Yeah, zero flow rate.
That's
a valid critique, man. That's an absolutely valid critique. There's money being spent in places that don't need to be spent that we could more effectively use somewhere else.
Okay,
exactly.
So also I do want to mention the thing about Musk. I don't believe that's correct, Steve. So Musk said that he would donate after the director of the UN World Food Program pointed out that billionaires like Musk could donate just a fraction of their wealth to address world hunger. And then the WFP issued a report 3 days later detailing how it could use the funds to feed 42 million people across the world who are at risk of starvation for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Musk donated that $6.6 billion to the Musk Foundation.
Well,
what's the Musk Foundation?
It's his foundation. Hang on. Doesn't actually.
But what I'm saying, if you do not help people, not handouts, but if you don't help them out of their situation, I don't care if it's 1 year or 10 years.
Well, yeah, but
if you stop, they're still in the same predicament.
Yeah.
Yes, but the WFP was talking about supporting people who are on the brink of famine, which I think is, at the very least, a noble goal.
Who's on the brink? Who's on the brink?
Well, according to
the
WFP, which is a UN organization, 42 million people.
I don't believe anything the UN says.
Well, I can't help you there. I mean, I could Google it. I could Google
after all, they are implicit in the current Israel-Hamas situation.
Are they now?
They have been from the inception.
Are they?
Yes, they are.
Are you referencing the alleged Hamas members within a UN organization on the ground there?
No, I'm referencing the 17 individuals within the UN that were aiding and supplying technical and geographical and security information in order for that situation to happen.
Can you elaborate or perhaps give me more information so I can find out what this is? Because I actually don't. I know about the people in the aid organization that Israel accused of being Hamas members, which I think
it's a rabbit hole worth looking down, but probably something we should study and then come back to.
Yeah. I haven't found any evidence of that.
Well, the report I read pointed to the fact that they gave them the logistical information, the surveillance of where to hit, when to hit, and all that stuff in order to pull that off on the scale that they pulled it off, came from within the UN itself.
I'm open to believing this, but without further evidence, it kind of just sounds like a conspiracy theory stuff.
Well, I'll have to go find a report again.
Everyone do their homework, and we can come and share links.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail it, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it needed to be derailed because it's time to wrap up anyway.
Yeah,
I have my date with Frank.
Date? You're not allowed to go on date.
You're welcome to come, Chuck, but you didn't want to the other day. We're finishing Big Brother.
Oh God, no, not Big Brother. You might as well watch a
It's
UN
Canadian Big Brother. If it
council meeting.
That doesn't make it better. It does not make it better.
Makes it
Big Brother.
It makes it worse because we all know Canadians are so sorry for what they do.
I thought so too. I didn't think it would be, but it's truly the best Big Brother franchise out there. These Canadians bring the drama.
Just remember the reason why we have war crimes in the first place is because of Canada.
If what?
The reason why we have war crimes is because of Canada.
Yeah, no, it is.
Wait, what is?
Canada
war crimes
committed some of the most atrocious war crimes during World War II against the Germans.
Yeah,
it was fucking bad, dude. Like the worst thing you can do is wait for a Canadian to stop saying "I'm sorry."
Yeah,
because that's when shit fucking pops off, dude. And they've lost all comport of like polite like manners, man. They just they were fucking like just look it up on what some of the shit that the Canadians did. Like half of the fucking what was it called, the Geneva Convention, what they consider as war crimes are shit that fucking Canada did.
Yeah, no, it's they explicit, like, yeah, there were during the Geneva Convention, they like looked at examples of like what are now considered war crimes, and we're like, oh, okay, so like we think this is a war crime, and like half of them were fucking Canada. Canadian, like Americans, like we in the First World War, we did quote unquote war crimes because we brought fucking shotguns to it, which the Germans, French, and British
not
had
war
been.
crimes if the U.S. does it. I mean,
that's true.
We make international law.
So a good example of this is that there was a group of Canadians that came across some Germans that wanted to surrender, and the Canadians were like, "We don't have the ability to take these people on," and then fucking shot all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, take no quarters. Yeah, give no quarter.
They gave no fucking quarter that fucking day, and so that's one of the reasons why that is a specific fucking war crime.
And in World War I, shotguns weren't used because the Germans, British, and French were like, yeah, no, we're just not going to use this. You know, sort of like, this is kind of fucked up to use, even though we're using gas attacks, you know. Apparently, shotguns are just a line too far. And America was just like, oh, you're not allowing shotguns? And they were like, all right, are you 16-year-old? Here's a shotgun. Go in that trench.
Yeah. Well, they eventually deemed that they were usable. I mean, you can't outlaw a weapon of death like that. You know, it's just. I mean, you can, but for the reasons that they gave, they weren't valid enough reasons for them to stop using shotguns.
And also like the concept of like war crimes and that kind of thing. It's a relatively modern concept. You know, I think it's a good concept to have. You know,
because in times of war there is no rules.
Yeah, and it's good if we like make some that we all have to abide by, so that, you know, we can lessen the death toll of war.
The
problem is, will everybody abide by it? That's the biggest.
That's always the problem.
Well, some people will. America actually has gotten like weirdly good about it in the wake of Iraq. The U.S. military did a lot of like revamping because Iraq was really bad for military PR. A lot of fucked up shit happened. And so like the American military, honestly, like is the American military the most moral army in the world.
Well, I mean, our POWs, the POWs that we kept, like the Germans, they came back healthy and well fed.
Yeah, like I mean,
we rebuilt Germany, so
yeah. I mean, honestly, aside, we rebuilt West Germany.
Soviets did a lot of work,
but we only rebuilt West Germany so that we could oppose the Soviets. We didn't do it because we felt sorry about bombing the Germans.
Yeah,
we do it everywhere we go. Anywhere we tear up,
really.
we rebuild.
I mean, we failed most times. You know, we failed in Vietnam. We failed
Iraq,
in
Afghanistan,
Korea. What other? It worked in Japan. It worked in Germany. That's about it. That's
I'm sure there's probably more. I just can't think of any more. But
of
anyways,
actual nation building projects. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Jeff wants to end the stream.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you want to do your thing, man?
We'll sign off. I'll see y'all later. Good conversation.
See you later, Chuck.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was good talking to you, Lib.
Yeah, always good talking to you too.
We'll see you later, Jeff.
I think he's on the phone, but yeah. I guess I'll stick around and talk until Jeff gets back. What was going on in chat? Oh God. Does Ragnar hate white people? Do whiteys got to pay? And the payment is baby hands?
Oh,
is
what
that
happened?
in reference? Oh, they were like, oh yeah, we're Jeff wanted to get off though, so we'll leave. What the fuck is Uguristan?
What's who? You're who knows? He's the freak.
Spanish people can be white.
The Uyghurs in China.
Is that what it's referencing? Because I googled it and it's like talking about like Turkey.
Oh, I don't know.
East Turkey something. Sounds like every other chatter here. We're all racist. It's fine.
Yeah, we are.
Except that I hate white people. That's my racism.
I've actually been accused more than once of being racist toward white people.
Really? What? Mm-hmm. For what?
For saying for saying white people are like I was
what?
I used the word white lady one time. Like,
oh my God.
A friend asked me who was on a Zoom call that I was on, and I said, "Oh, it was a bunch of white ladies." And they're like, I'm white. I'm not going to tolerate this kind of racism, even if it's toward white people. I don't hang out with people that are racist. And they ended the friendship because I described the people on the Zoom as white ladies.
What the fuck? That's
what I'm saying. And
that is
this was somebody from the left who had crossed over to the center. Yeah. They were anti-woke because of the wokeness, and they turn around and use the same tactic.
I've seen that before. I unfortunately that's not.
They were awful. They were affluent,
uncommon.
White, liberal,
female. Yeah. No, that kind of actually. Oh no, I want to. I don't hate white people. Okay, I'm racist only against the British. Okay,
the WASPs. Nobody likes the WASP unless you're a WASP. Nobody outside of WASP culture likes WASPs.
Yeah, like I'm a WAS, but I'm white Anglo-Saxon, but but I don't know if I was
were
white.
You raised WASP culture?
Yes, I was raised WASP.
Yeah, that's WASP
sort of.
So weird to me.
Sort of. It's kind of weird. So like I grew up Baptist, Southern Baptist, but my dad grew up Catholic. So we weren't that ingrained in WASP culture, but like enough. I don't identify as white like that. I identify as Spanish. I'm my own culture. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, sure. Yeah, you're Spanish, but you can be Spanish and white. Ragnar. I mean, you don't have to identify as white. I'm not saying you do, but
like Asians are white now. Like there's black white people.
Are there?
The category of whiteness is not. It's not just Anglo-Saxon. I mean, WASP people are people with white skin anymore.
I mean, racial categories like that in that sense have always been like kind of stupid and arbitrary anyways.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like Irish people were considered not white for a long time because they were like Italians, they were like swarthy or whatever. It's
Cajuns were not white. In Louisiana, we were classified as white ethnics or people of color. That was our official in the state of Louisiana back then in history before the United States took it over and changed the classifications. That's what we were classified as. Yeah, we were not considered white people.
Yeah, no, America, or just whiteness in general has this like really, all races though have this. I know there's a thing within within Black communities where like there'll be hierarchies on like you know, if you're lighter skinned or darker skinned.
You did ask him to, Frank.
A little bit. White just means people you can shit on. True facts. Shit on all white people. Do it.
Yeah, they moved the target. Like what to me happened is all the people that felt like they were under attack from like the main culture, which was predominantly WASP, white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, the gays, the black people, the Mexicans,
Catholics,
whoever, the women, the feminists, the people that were normally the targets or the scapegoats started to shift or reverse the target and make the white men the new target or the scapegoat. Instead of shifting the target to some other group completely, including everybody, they just tried to reverse the hierarchy. Instead of expanding it to include the minorities, they just wanted to displace what they saw as a dominant and replace themselves instead. So it wasn't an expansion.
No,
it was just a reversal.
Yeah, and I mean, for instance, I don't think those hierarchies are stupid. We should just quit treating people differently based on their skin color and treat.
I know that's your people doing it. I wish I agree with you.
I wish it wasn't. I have in those communities. I'm very vocal about my opinion that
how do you stay in those communities? Because I'm not even in those communities, and when I even raise anything even close to critical of them, then I get canceled and shut out, and they start circling the way. So how do you give your criticisms and still remain part of these communities?
Honestly, it kind of depends on like the community. I have I did one time, and this was with a more minor community. This was with just a group of people that I met online, and I pulled the trans card on them. I pulled the I'm trans, and so you can't disagree with me card. Not in that way.
You actually did that?
Oh yeah, no, I did. Unironically, it was actually fucking. But I did. See, this is what I did. I pulled that card in order to talk about actual equality. There you go. That's how you do it.
Because actual equality is what we have currently, but it's not enough. They want something called equity. Like they're not satisfied with actual equality. They want equality of outcome, not equality under the law or equality of opportunity, but they want equality of outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. Denizen, yes, I am actually trans. I'm a trans woman. I was assigned male at birth, and I now identify as a woman. Cool. Got that out of the way.
So socially, right? You're not planning a medical or surgical.
Well, I am planning on getting on HRT at some point, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to get any surgeries or anything.
You're not getting the cut.
Not getting the cut. Not getting it chopped off. It's whatever. I don't really get. As I have said,
is there something they can do to just shrink? Like maybe just shrink it as small as possible.
That's kind of what HRT does. It
burn it off like not, with the liquid nitrogen, you like to do with the war.
Yeah. I bet they could. It would probably pose some problems because then how the fuck am I gonna pee?
Oh. Well, how do they do it now? When they cut it off, you still.
No, they don't cut it off. So they do, but they basically they make an incision. They cut it like.
Hang on. Do y'all want to know this? Do y'all want this? Press 1 in the comments if you do. Go ahead.
I'm not going to get like super explicit. They basically
all right.
they make
on this lovely note.
They make a bilateral cut on the skin. They peel it away. Too
much already. No.
Do you understand what it is though? Like that's what they're doing, and then they're like, okay, I'm not gonna keep going. I'm not gonna keep going.
This is not something I've ever really had to think about, and now that I am having to.
Yeah, no. It's
especially I got food in the oven. Me and Frank.
No. Don't worry about that. Yeah, no. It's not. Defreak. I am not a trans predator. I am trans. I don't have those cool little like shoulder things that predators have.
Shoulder things, pads.
No. The Alien versus Predator. Don't you?
Oh, that predator.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
so,
just.
Yeah, I need to end it.
I'm a liberal, neutered, politically male. I'm sorry to disappoint you, freak. I am a anarcho-communist. I'm actually not a liberal.
I call him trendset. He wasn't like he knew at 3 years old that he was a woman, like a female, and then wrong by. It's more like he discovered as he became an adult that he identifies emotionally and socially with women.
Yeah, more or less.
To me, it's a different type of trans than the medical or
I mean,
kind of no.
I think every individual who is trans is their own kind of trans.
Probably so. I'd say the same. Yeah, autistics too, same thing. But there's broad, general like types we could kind of sketch out. There's autogynephilia. There's the kind that kind of come into it through social exposure later in life. There's the kind that when they're 3 years old, they're in dresses and wigs and there's not a doubt in their mind.
Yeah. Denizen, I don't sound trans because I haven't done any I haven't done significant voice training. So I can make my voice sound more femme. I just sound like a very effeminate gay guy, and it's like really bad. So I don't like subjecting people to it.
Wait, what? I want to give us at least a little taste. We can end on that.
Oh God. Okay, here we'll end on that. Me explaining how anarchy and communism can work together in my effeminate gay voice. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So anarchy. So anarchy isn't really like the total removal of all hierarchies. What it's about is the removal of unjust hierarchies.
Wait, can I stop you real quick? Is that the effeminate gay voice?
I'm working into. I have to work into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Communism isn't just top-down authority, though, because honestly, that doesn't really make sense given as to what communism is. Communism is about a society being stateless, classless, and moneyless. Moneyless being more ephemeral, and I won't get into it here. But the idea is you remove unjust hierarchies, so that like people don't unjustly hold power over others. That all power that people have over other people is legitimized and like real instead of being sort of enforced upon them.
I didn't hear the gay voice at all, but I hate that you brought that up because it opened up a whole new range of topics that I'm so excited to explore, and I feel like we're not gonna be able to get to them. But
if you
what makes power legitimate? There's consensual, like you consent for someone to have power over you, and there's also like state sanctioned power that we like authorities and security guards and police and stuff like that. But then what's the other kind? Like who is being subjected to power that's not legitimate?
That is a how, like in our previous
I guess what is illegitimate power? That's the question. Like, what is this power you're talking about that's not legitimate?
Illegitimate power is like when so it's a socially decided thing about morality. So it's kind of like how our conversation earlier was about how
I'm trying, Frank. He keeps making it interesting. I can't help it.
So okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought now. Oh yes, okay, where I was going with the power. Okay, so power being illegitimate is a thing that societies decide upon, and I like with that morality thing, it's like, you know.
Okay, then what in our society is considered what is society decide is illegitimate power?
No.
Not just your opinion.
Society. No. It's all my opinion.
Oh,
that's the thing.
Well,
it's all my. But it's I think we should be moving towards this because I think this is better for people, and so I'm trying to move that social zeitgeist, and I'm trying to do
the Talcott
democracy. Well, yes, but I'm trying to actually do it, and Talcott's like pretending.
Okay, I'm gonna.
I mean, yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed today's conversation. I'm enjoying it right now as we speak. I'm even laughing. I do have to end though because I got the food cooking, and I kept promising Frank we'd get started on our daily TV binging. So next time you're here, I want to pick up this point. I want to talk about the different types of power and legitimate and illegitimate power.
Yeah, it's all from my perspective, though. This is
right, because there are some people that I feel like when they look out in society, they see people at the mercy of something that they see as power that they see as illegitimate and unjust, and I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. So I want to start. I want to take that as our starting point next time.
Yeah. Not that hierarchies inherently are unjust. There are just hierarchies.
Yeah,
yeah.
Let's talk about that. Like because there's consensual hierarchies, there's competency hierarchies, there's
like as you
there's fluid hierarchies.
Teachers. I think like the hierarchy of a teacher and a student. I think is actually very legitimate. It's kind of like the competency one. However, it has this interesting sort of like little tidbit where like the hierarchy subverts itself. Like eventually the teacher will have taught the student all they know.
The teachers, well, mine didn't. I mean, I was in
sure, but like I'm saying, ideally, right? Like in a teacher-student hierarchy, the teacher.
I'm trying to do that with y'all here. I'm trying to get you to surpass my insight, and
I think that's what everyone should be doing. I try to do that too. That's what I look for.
One day, I think you will surpass. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, there are. Okay, let's.
Yeah, parents is another good one. I think parent and child.
Oh yeah, that's a great one because I was in that hierarchy and it did not work for me.
Yeah,
it was not.
Yeah,
I didn't consider it. None of us consider it legitimate, and we kind of ignored it. So that's a great example.
Well, I think parent-child one is one that is broadly legitimate.
Unless it's not. Unless it's not. An incompetent, ineffective parent.
Yes, I'm talking about like in like all these are like ideal situations, right? Like ideal hierarchies.
Right, dysfunctional hierarchy. When the hierarchy is legitimate but it's not functional.
Yes. When it's legitimate but not functional.
Yeah, like a dysfunctional parent, a dysfunctional teacher or classroom, on but according to the system, it's an illegitimate hierarchy, but in practice, it is not functioning as a working hierarchy.
Yeah, in which case I would argue, I think we should correct those. I think we should teach people to engage in hierarchies in healthy and productive manners. I think that is something you can like socially teach a society how to engage with hierarchies in ways that are beneficial not just to them but to everyone around you and can even be more beneficial to you. That's like kind of the story of history has been us.
Like, you know what? That's a great way to transition to Big Brother, because that's exactly what one of the reasons I like watching these reality shows is to see all the different hierarchies that emerge over the course of the game and how people work and manipulate them. And so we're going to go watch that right now. Frank and I, anyone's welcome to join us. We'll be on the Discord. Otherwise, we will be back here tomorrow. Probably doing the same old thing.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Enjoyed the conversation. Y'all.
Me too.
Be safe. Be well.
Thoroughly. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you again. Okay. All righty. I thought they'd never finish. No, I'm just kidding. I really did enjoy it. I want to keep it going, but I also want to go watch Big Brother. So take care, everybody. See you tomorrow. Frank, I expect my 3 likes. My like for today and the next 2 days. Take care. Bye. Satan. Some music.